4 p.m. We got to fix this. We got to fix this, chat. We got to fix this. Somebody said, what the fuck am I doing all day? My mom been at the crib. There's a lot of other like business things I'm attending to. Sleep schedule's a little bit out of whack. Shit ton of snow here. I know in you guys' mind, it might just be like, yo, Ack, you only have one fucking job. Not necessarily. But of course, it's the most important job. You're right. Okay. Well, so let me tell you, like, so I woke up, like I set an alarm. I'm like, all right, I was a little tired again because I was in and out of sleep today. I don't know, maybe it's my body just saying, bro, you got to get a little bit more than 3 hours. So I got off stream at like 5 last night. I wake up at 8. I'm like, well, 3 hours ain't going to do it. But I could start my morning. I do emails. I do some calls. Get my, deal with my dogs. Then after that, my mom's here. So, I'm just like with her too. And I'm like, all right. In between that, I like take a nap. But I sleep for like an hour, wake up. I feel like every time I go to sleep, I get like 5,000 messages relating to social media. Post this. What about this? This campaign. This. Again, I like to be hands-on with everything. I don't do business managers. Why? That's how you get robbed. So I'm doing everything myself. I'm like, I got 15 hats on. Like during the day, I'm a construction worker and I'm a super duper business manager. And I do half legal stuff. I do a lot of, breaking out indictments and shit. But like when it comes to my business stuff, unless it's really like complicated, I'm handling minority stuff. And then so I'm in and out of sleep. My dogs. What else is going on today? The snow is killing us over here. And eventually I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna get up at like 10 o'clock. So I'm like, I gotta take a nap. I'm gonna get up at 10 o'clock. I'm gonna stream at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. I was listening. I don't know what the fuck I was listening to. Maybe it was a sneak or something like that. So I got it on my phone. I got like Netflix on. I put the alarm on. And I'm not going to lie to you, sleep felt so good. But that's like your body tell you like, motherfucker, like you can't just rock out with 3 hours of sleep. So anyway, I woke up, went back to sleep, woke up at 11, woke up at 12. And then around after midnight, it's always the dilemma, right? When I want to stream. Do you get on stream now knowing that you're probably not going to have peak audience because a lot of your audience went to sleep, right? Yeah, they'll catch VOD, but they went to sleep. Or do you just take the night, reset, and come back tomorrow? Now, it's easy for me to like skip a day, but if I promise like, yo, let's do every day, I'm like, I can't. So we're here now. People catch the VOD. It's okay. Not tripping. Welcome. I see are we on all platforms yet? I don't know why, like, every time I try to multi-stream, the Academy works perfectly. Until last night. I don't know what happened last night. But when I'm trying to get on King Academic, sometimes it's trippy. All right, cool. We are here. But thank you guys to the Night Shift crew. And I'll tell you another reason why I do stream late. I always told you guys that streaming is not a, when I started streaming, it wasn't like the idea of streaming being your main thing was never a thing. Like I started streaming for the idea and the concept of 300. I want to find the most dedicated and loyal supporters of mine that no matter what time, right? Like, so I love sparking up streams at 4 a.m. You know why? Because I don't want to talk to everybody. I want to talk to y'all. And obviously we've gotten so big at this point, pause. It appears that I don't know if that's even possible anymore. You know what I mean? I think even if I, maybe if I go in Discord and I like do like a AMA or something like that, maybe that's like I'm just talking to y'all. But our streams drastically change after I realized anytime I stream, people clip it and things that I would think that I'm only talking to my audience with, right? Which might not play the best if it gets outside my audience. It started happening a lot. So like I feel like I'm on the mainstream stage every time I'm on stream. But the idea of me like streaming at 4 a.m. for me, I'm like, well, this is for the core fans anyway, right? Like the guy who hears about academics and the first thing that comes to his mind, like, hey, weren't you in that video with Takeoff and Amigos? Was I left out bad or bullshit? Like, I get that sometimes. Like, I'm not streaming for that guy. I'm streaming for the person who's been rocking for years, night in, night out. I feel like I know you guys. When I look in the chat, like, I see the same names. So, that's the difficult thing about growing. It's hard to figure out die-hard true supporters. Those are who I really care about. And also, you can have a real conversation with, right? Some takes you gotta, the world is pussy. People are whatever. You can't say certain stuff, but if you're really talking to your friends, water cooler talk, you could be like, yo, you know that bitch lying, right? You know that nigga probably did that shit, right? Like, you can't do that anymore because it gets clipped up. Everybody's like, yo, he made a definitive statement. And so anyway, it's all good. We will start off, and not too sure. I didn't really have a run of show tonight, so we're going to kind of figure it out. Blueface drama. It's like the gift that keeps giving, I guess. We'll probably get some Epstein stuff. There's some more new angles here. And, last night I asked you guys if you guys wanted me to look into other, possible weird iterations of what this Epstein stuff has turned into. You guys seemingly were a little bit interested. We're still like, we're on music watch. J. Cole is dropping in 2 days. First big release of 2026. Drake. I got a few snippets. I get these Drake songs and I'm like, yo, should I even play him? If I play him, his fans are mad. Yo, Ak, you're fucking it up. You're ruining it. The other people, they're happy. They're like, yo, okay, it gets us excited. You can't please everybody. It is what it is. I did make a call out to a lot of people in the music industry or the podcast, music, whatever we do, whatever industry you call that. I wanted them to talk about the Jay-Z thing. I'm not too sure if that was received well. I think people have a great way of taking what I say out of context. Me asking people to comment on something qualitatively like they do everything else makes them believe that I need them to say a particular narrative like, yo, Jay-Z is a pedophile. That's what they're expecting me to say, or that's what I'm expecting them to say. No. That's one qualitative conversation. These days I feel like we live in this age of transparency. It's just like, I think it would be a different age and a different media space and landscape when Jordan retired. I think if Jordan was the greatest player ever, or let's say it's LeBron. If LeBron won 2 rings in Miami, and right after that, when people are expecting him to go for his third, he's like, you know what? I'll quit. And if there were rumors that maybe this guy's a gambling addict, maybe he's in gambling debt, maybe something else is going on, maybe he got secretly suspended, there'll be a lot of conversation about it because these days the media really picks at everything. I'm only asking for the same type of transparency when it comes to like this Jay-Z thing. I'm not saying Jay-Z is anything. I don't know. I'm very honest and open with again, there's a whole generation of artists that I think I've covered them and I've lived and grew with them in terms of their career. I've covered every aspect. I've talked to these people. I've talked to people around them, their labels. If people ask me, like, if you ask me certain things that may have not been reported in the media, but if you ask me stuff about Chief Keef or Uzi or obviously 6ix9ine is a homie of mine, but like, if you ask me about the people who I've covered intimately, maybe I wouldn't hop online, and that's not me being fake. Maybe I wouldn't hop online and say these things, but if you're like, yo, I heard like, da-da-da, like not many people know, I might be able to tell you like, nah, that shit really happened. What does that matter? It matters that because I was there, because I was tapped in, I have the knowledge to not necessarily be an authority on it, but be able to speak about it. What I've asked of my colleagues is just, yo, what's up with Jay? Like, I think the conversation with Jay was Jay a fucking weirdo? Was Jay-Z a weirdo for being attracted to these women who, number one, all were desperate for music careers very early on and when they were young? And did he, I'm not saying pray, but I mean, did he target these women when they were on the cusp of turning 18? That's the conversation. Does anyone want to have it? Nobody wants to have that conversation. Now, the thing is, I keep telling you, it's better to be liked than to be right. Because if it was someone we didn't like, right, we would have that conversation all day. The reason why I called on my colleagues, they're older than me. They lived through the era. Some of them, they were very close to Rockefeller. They had a relationship. They've heard things. And we're not saying let's go write a narrative based on gossip. But we should probably start to unpack some of these things, because I do look at every person that was older in the media space. I look at y'all a little bit odd. Remember I told y'all I'm really forthcoming with all the relationships I've really had in this shit. When I was on Everyday Struggle, that was like really, in my opinion, my the first introduction to the industry. Soon as I get there, I remember there's something with Joe and Complex, so I'm doing it with a bunch of guests. And one guest comes on, it was like, yo, we've been listening to you, like, you're dope, whatever. And I'm like, yo, well, listen, shit, I never thought I would meet you. I never really thought I would, the industry would give a fuck about what I'm doing. But great, I'm glad I'm here. And they're giving me the lowdown on the industry. And this is what happens. Like, these guys, they know what's going on. They're giving me the lowdown. And it was in 2017, the lowdown that I got, pause, extra pause. Hey, listen, Ak, you're new to this? Diddy's going to hit you up eventually. I said, what do you mean? You don't know? Diddy's gay. That's what they told me. That's what they told me back then. This was the conversation. And the whole time I remember hearing it, and I remember the office I was sitting in Complex, and I'm like, how come you have so much information about him, his get down, who he's tried, situations he's been in, but nobody says this publicly? It's one of those unwritten, unspoken things. Fuck it. But they gave me the warning. I never met Diddy. The closest I came to meet Diddy was Diddy trying to tell me I should link up with him in London. I'm not gonna lie, that felt like it was a backdoor tie special, right? Obviously, I was talking some smack about his side chick, who he later called Shorty Wop. That was Young Miami, and I was like, he was like, yo, come party, playboy. Now, I don't know if he thought I was fabulous, but I don't think I look that fabulous. I don't know what's his type, though. But back in the back of my mind kept echoing the same things being said by those people who unsolicitedly was telling me, watch out for Diddy. Never ended up meeting with Diddy. First time I ever spoke to him, he was in lockdown with Tekashi 6ix9ine. Tekashi 6ix9ine passed him the phone. First words he said to me, what up, playboy? Documented. My story doesn't change. Why do I say that? I say that because in 2023, or late 2023, and then 2024, when he gets indicted, the whole industry act like they were shocked. Oh my God, what? And I felt that was a little bit fake. Felt it was a little bit fake. Because the majority of these people who have been in this industry and been all these parties and really like been around these people, they all tried to warn me, but they did it off the record. They were like, yo, watch out. Let me just tell you this one story. And you come to figure out when, in the age of now, we're looking at the Epstein files and trying to figure what do we extrapolate from that. Well, what do we extrapolate from the whole Diddy situation? Now, granted, let's be honest about the whole Diddy thing. Diddy was exonerated of the worst things he was accused of, which is sex trafficking and also racketeering with a criminal enterprise in terms of sex trafficking, kidnapping, car bombing, all this other stuff. But he was indicted. The question I ask is like, why is everybody acting surprised when I heard y'all warn me and talk about this off camera? Well, I'll tell you the simple answer. Well, Diddy was touting a spirit brand named Ciroc, owned by Diageo. Everybody wanted to be a Ciroc boy. Diddy had a huge, portfolio of not only artists that he's worked with historically, but his business acumen, along with other things, made him a valuable person and also a person you didn't want to go against. So nobody talked about him. So everybody sat by while Diddy was doing his thing. And it's so we've not heard one person said I heard in 2017. I just came off YouTube. One person in particular that I would know. But a few people like Diddy. I'm like, huh? Go back, watch my videos. I all tell you, I'm like, what? I don't know if I named Diddy at the time because they were so scared of Diddy. I'm like, I'm not going to name Diddy. I just got in the game. But my point of this is that everybody knew, but they all acted surprised once he got indicted. And that's why I get to the Jay-Z conversation. Because the same thing like I didn't know about Diddy, and I'm not saying that Diddy and Jay-Z are equals. I don't know. But I look at the conversation not being had as eerily suspect. Because it was the same thing I was thinking back when I heard rumors and back channel talk about Diddy, but no one would bring it to light until he gets indicted. Everybody booked a Vlad TV podcast just to talk about it. To me, that was fake. To me, that was fake. So here I am. We're now faced with this. It's not like people or I are just grabbing and reaching for straws at this, thing with Jay-Z. We're going off what other people are saying. We don't know. I genuinely don't know. I've seen Jay-Z one time. I go to watch Kendrick Lamar when TDE felt like, they probably needed Ja Boy. When Dave Free was escorting me around the building at the Barclays, Kendrick Lamar, he's doing all type of stuff. I'm seeing him play the piano. I'm like, Kendrick can play the piano. Okay, that's cool. I look up and I see there's a little murmur in the crowd. They're like, Hove. And he's in a skybox, but he was wearing all white. And I see him walk to the front, and I could see him looking at Kendrick, and I don't know if it was like Illuminati, Rock Nation ritual, but Jay-Z being there at the Barclays at the time was almost like a rite of passage for Kendrick. You made it. Jay approves. One of the greatest. Now you're one of the greatest. Obviously, that approval happened many years ago, but I remember being there and the murmur in the crowd. Everybody started looking up to catch a glimpse of Hove. I don't know Jay-Z. I can't speak to his character. I've heard stories. I don't know. I never lived it. I wasn't in, quote unquote, the industry at the time. When I came here in context, it was around 2001. I came right before the towers got hit. Jay-Z and Nas, that was the conversation. So I come in the middle of this heated rap battle or this heated confrontation between two amazing artists. I have to learn about his come up, me delving into hip hop culture because I love music, really all music, but like hip hop culture is such an amazing, fascinating culture. Like I fall in love instantly with a lot of his even previous works, even at that time. I fall in love with Reasonable Doubt. Fall in love with The Blueprint. Fall in love with Volume 2. I fall in love with the idea of a guy whose mantra was, they didn't want to sign me, so I created the label. I took that to help establish my media brand. If Hot 97 and Power 105 don't want me, I'm going to create my own media company where I'm the star. I think it worked out fine for me. And I will say partly is because if I looked at a motto and a blueprint, all pun intended, that Jay-Z created. But I'm saying, I don't know too much about these stories that, these are these back channel stories. When I got told about Diddy, they said Diddy tried an actor. They said there's this actor, and by the way, I don't want to mention that actor's name, but that actor was never the same. But he was super hot, pause, when he first got on. They said Diddy invited him to a certain place, and Diddy tried him. Maybe this actress told the story. I got to look, but I don't want to just throw a name out there. And I was just, stop it. That never happened. And I remember they looked at me because I was the naive non-industry guy like, oh, you don't know, do you? You don't know. Years to come, I realized I didn't know. So all I'm calling up on is my peers, the people who grew up maybe a little bit older than me. They covered Jay-Z, front and back, the Elliott Wilsons. And I don't want to call no more names. I'm going to stop with the name calling. But these are people who I've gotten my information about this guy from. I'm not calling none of y'all to tear his legacy down, besmirch his name. But Are any of these conversations worth having? Or do we have to sit by and wait till possibly an indictment hits? Or are you just scared of the conversation at all? Not saying nothing is there, but again, when I see people unwilling to speak about the conversation, hey, was Jay on some creepy shit? Was he one of those guys who would try to like get a pretty girl that may have a little bit of talent, kind of groom her and, try to get with her while she was maybe underage and kind of like, because do y'all remember the story of Cassie? Now, granted, I believe Cassie was overage. But that story in itself is a little bit sick. If you guys don't know the whole story, I was telling my friend about it today. I was giving a little soliloquy on, hey, never bring a girl around your boss consistently, especially if your girl's bad. At a point, your girl gonna start looking at how your boss moves and how you move, how you answer to him, and that might not turn out well. I used the idea or the story of Cassie and Diddy as an example. Cassie really got brought into this industry by Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie saw this young girl. She was pretty. They had whatever they had. She wanted to get into the music business. When she wanted to get in the music business, you had Jay-Z. No, not Jay-Z. Sorry. Freudian slip. You had Ryan Leslie bring Cassie. You could imagine. He's like, yo, I know everybody. I know Puff. I know this. I know that. He brings Cassie around Puff. Cassie's probably seen a different type of lifestyle, a different type of money, a different type of opulence, a different type of success. It is Diddy over the top. 15 people waiting on him. Best suites, penthouse suites everywhere. Limousine riding, jet flying. It is opulence at the highest level. Ain't no more food and beverage. This is exquisite shit. Over time, what happens is that Diddy plotted on Cassie. He wanted her. He created scenarios and situations that supposedly him and Cassie was going to work on music. Think about it, what we know about Cassie now. Cassie was a pretty girl. She looked good, but her musical talent, she sounded like a dying goat. Diddy wanted her. Diddy created the idea in her mind of this young woman chasing a dream. Hey, I think you're musically talented. All while he wanted to pursue her to get him in his harem. He was dating at that time Kim Porter. He creates a situation. We got to go to Miami to go do some shit in music. It's just me and you, though. This is business. Your boyfriend can't come. Leave him at home. They go to Miami. Diddy tries her. Diddy kisses her. She says she didn't know how to feel about it because she had a man. She's actively cheating. Diddy wines and dines her, takes her here, takes her there, gives her everything that the lifestyle she was chasing would present. Gives her everything. Over time, the story comes to pass. Ryan Leslie's cut out the picture. She's now Diddy's girl. There's conversations to be had about that. I always shout out Nicki Minaj. I always said that, I believe Nicki's a complete raging bitch. I've heard that about her personality based on how she's came off to me. She is that. But I've also heard she developed this tough exterior because niggas used to try her. Nicki was a little bad thing. All these popular rappers who were on a pedestal at that point, they're all trying to fuck. Oh, yeah, I'll rap with you. Yeah, let's get in the studio session. Oh, yeah. Late night. Get the runner to go get all the liquor. We're going to get drunk. Fuck a song. This happens all the time. The guy who wants to fuck the girl basically acts like he's into her career after he's donkey fucking her off the fucking, the mixer table. Who cares about the song? That's his girl now. That's his bitch. That's one of them. I heard Nicki had to turn down those advances many times. She had to be a bitch. Hey, stop it. Are we recording or what? No, enough. No more shots. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's get this shit done. Came with a different attitude. Fortunately, her skill was enough to keep bringing her back in those rooms because you know how it goes. You try a chick once or twice, she ain't going. Fuck her, man. Next, on to the next. But Nicki's skill kept her in the game. But she had to have that hard exterior. And good thing she from Queens, because, you know, Queens women usually exude a little bit of masculine energy. She was a little bit of a raging bitch. That continued with how she dealt with people in the industry. So with that understanding, I understand why she might, you know, not all the time she comes off as very just like docile. But that's the conversation that really needs to be had, right? Like, it gives you the context of why Nicki, and, you know, it should be asked and even understood. Like, think about other situations, even outside Cassie and Diddy. Was that something that was standard? If we think about L.A. Reid and some of the accusations that we heard later about him, that was exactly what they were saying. What is tantamount to Harvey Weinstein in the movie industry, where he would look at young actresses who were beautiful. Maybe the talent wasn't always there, and some of them it was. He would use his power and the fact that he could make or break their career to get them in compromising positions. Hey, let's go work on a script in my penthouse. 11:30, they walk in, jazz music is on. Hey, the script is on the table, but let's get a couple glasses of wine. Let me hear about you and your life. 2 hours later, he's getting a little eggplant sucked on. That's a conversation we should talk about. People don't think that type of, you know, they talk about, we're in this woke era where people talk about rape culture or, you know, all this whatever culture, you know, toxic culture. And we talk about the behavior that people might exude that kind of contributes to that. Right? How come it's cool when they to talk about it when they get caught, but maybe not before? When Bill Cosby gets caught for, you know, supposedly hitting them chicks, you know, he was Steph Curry with the Quaaludes, the Spanish fly. Everybody acted like, oh shit, he was doing that. Then you hear, and I've heard, Bill Cosby wasn't the only one. He's just the one who died for everybody else's sins. All of them niggas was hitting them chicks with the Spanish fly and the Quaaludes. They were basically using their power and influence and also like drugging chicks. That was a culture. But we don't hear much conversations about it. Let's get back to music. Let's get back to the Jay-Z conversation. The conversation I want to have is, well, we see what happened with L.A. Reid. Well, we see what happened or was accused of, but with Russell Simmons. We see what is accused, right, of with the R. Kellys. We see what's accused of with Diddy. I think we've heard Jay-Z's name a little bit too much for us not to talk about, hey, listen, are any of these things true? Are any of these things just completely made up by a random caller that happens to fall in the Epstein file? Are these things just completely out of the scope that we should just say, this is illogical. This is just someone, this is the Matrix targeting him. Or perhaps should we say, let's go back and evaluate what this guy did. Now, I understand there's a lot of people that's running what I call interference. And I love watching media run interference for powerful men. Because I always think, damn, what business deal they got coming up? You know, love Charlamagne, idol of mine. Let me remove the word idol because it feels like I idolize. Like, you know, well, idol. It is, right? Like, you know, I look up to Charlamagne. I've always done that. But I don't expect Charlamagne to have a neutral or even have a qualitative conversation about Jay-Z's past and Jay-Z's history in the music industry. Why? Charlamagne was also pretty much caught hand in the cookie jar in the casino saga where Jay-Z was trying to get a bid. Charlamagne showed up and gave riveting speeches about how the council members should vote to approve this because Jay-Z's vision is great and this and third. So there's some synergy and alignment there between not necessarily Roc Nation and Charlamagne, but the entities that are trying to push and put Jay-Z in a certain place and Charlamagne. Is that paid? I don't know. Maybe they're just good friends. Now, even though back in the day, there was a conversation that Jay-Z may have gotten Charlamagne fired from Philly radio after some criticisms. I don't know what's going on, though. I just want to have conversations. The conversations just seem to, I just want to have conversations. So I'm asking really my peers. I'm like, hey, listen, I wasn't really around because I'd say what I've heard. And I have heard whatever, but you guys lived it. You guys it's like Wendy Williams when Wendy Williams came out way back and said, let me just tell you the truth. There's a few gay motherfuckers in here. We call them homo thugs, okay? She said Diddy was gay, and everybody felt like she was a liar. But you know why? And this is where I bring Charlamagne back into this. And again, this is not a call out for Charlamagne. I love Charlamagne. What Charlamagne has always told me, one of the most valuable advice he told me, which was told to him by Wendy, and this is why I say Wendy is the queen. You're either going to be loyal to the industry or the people. You can't be loyal to both. And if you're loyal to the people, you're going to have uncomfortable conversations that maybe the industry won't like you to have and might make you an enemy. For Wendy Williams to repeat, and again, she was hearing much more than you think. Hey, listen, Diddy's on some gay shit. It was so taboo at the time, she supposedly ended up losing her job. Years come to pass, after we get the details through a racketeering indictment through the Department of Justice, we get to find out Diddy was rubbing male semen on his nipples. He was playing in it. He was writing it. He was using like it was Play-Doh. He would be whacking off to other men, even though they were supposedly, having sex with his girl at the time. At times, he requested 2 men. He's never requested a female escort, always men. He would instruct his girl, find the guy with the biggest penis for me to watch. Now, I don't know. These days we live in a very sexual fluid world. Some people say, nah, that's just cuckism. Cuckism. No, yeah, that's cuckism. Hey, call me old school. I was born in Spanish Town, Jamaica. That's gay. Wendy was right. She was brave enough to say the thing about the culture that nobody wanted to talk about because it was underground. Way back then, she looked crazy until later on we're like, she was right. In fear of what the industry was doing to silence her, she realized, I can't really tell you what's really popping. She had credible information on another person. This was a time where being gay, and there's nothing really wrong with being gay, but these guys were living double lives. These guys were lying and fooling the public. Not that people should be invasive to be like, pull somebody out of the closet necessarily, but, she feel like these guys were in a culture that it was all about keeping it real. These guys weren't keeping it real. Wendy Williams wasn't homophobic. Wendy Williams was someone who actually had a huge gay audience. She used to say this thing, how you doing? With like this little weird hand thing, which was clearly to pander to the gay people. So she loved gay people. But she liked to call out the guys who were acting super macho. Hip-hop at the time was way more homophobic, and she would say, hey, you guys are pretending. Some of you guys are gay. There was an episode that came out that she said, listen, there's a couple gay guys here. And she said there's even one that's in New York. He's linked to hip-hop history. I can't say his name because I think they're going to sue me or they're going to try to take me off the air because every time I tell y'all the truth and the industry don't want the truth or have those conversations because they're uncomfortable and at the time it's taboo, they're going to try to do something to me. So I'm just going to mutter it. I'm going to hum it. The gay guy who's acting like he's super thug is Everybody listen to that. They try to match it to every name in the industry. Come to find out, years and years and years later, there was always rumblings and people knew who she was talking about. But it was a man known as DJ Mr. C. Now, that person was not only a DJ within the, radio sphere of New York City at the time, it was pretty much the center of hip hop. But he's Big's DJ, Biggie, Notorious B.I.G., Frank White. For that guy to be gay is like, what? It's not nothing wrong with him being gay. But everybody looked at Wendy to say, why are you talking about that shit? Why? Why are you talking about that shit? Years later, DJ Mr. C gets arrested by the NYPD for soliciting, as Charlamagne always quoted, street meat. He would meet up with transgenders in his car and have a bearded, Saucy Santana type motherfucker suck him off on the side of the road. Public lewdness and other things would ensue. Now, a lot of people pointed out as the world was changing, hip-hop is such an intolerable place at the time. This guy who's been living a lie, if he wants to go buy some transgender man bussy, why can't he do it in the comfort of a hotel? Well, maybe someone who works at a hotel might see him walk in with this transgender and be like, oh, you're homosexual. Why can't he do this in the comfort of his home? Well, he probably has a wife and he's been living a lie. Why can't he do it somewhere else? Well, he has to stay hidden, and that's why he got arrested. But what does that prove to y'all? Wendy Williams was right. Wendy Williams was trying to have the conversations about a culture going on that nobody wanted to accept or even discuss, and she was 100% right. I'm going to keep bringing it back to Jay-Z. I don't know if Jay-Z did nothing. Jay-Z might really just be a guy who people want to see him go down. I don't know, but I wasn't around. So all these people, when I keep calling out my peers, I want to hear y'all talk about it. What do y'all think about his dating practices, how he got close to artists who kind of needed him more in the music capacity, and we heard that he's pursuing them romantically at the cusp of 18. Was that the standard? Because what people don't want to admit is that all these people, they'll be super judgmental on the current folks, the current youth. But nobody finds it odd that Russell Wilson, another Freudian slip. Not Freudian, actually, but that Russell Simmons was in his mid-30s and he was pursuing 16 and 17-year-olds. That's not the conversation. Was he just an oddball? He just gets to chill in Bali? Was he an oddball or was that the culture? It's not odd that supposedly Beyonce was 16 or 17 when she allegedly met Jay. Supposedly in a musical capacity. Couple years later, they're allegedly already in a full-blown relationship. Jay-Z's already established and already over the age of at least 25. That's not odd. No one wants to talk about that. There's no conversations to be had about that one, right? I'm talking to you about a culture. And everybody else who I'm asking to speak about that because maybe they were around at the time. And just like how Wendy was like, this is what's really going on. I'm not saying to be Wendy because I know every time you ask these guys, by the way, I keep saying what Joe and Jada does, what the Bodega Boys over there at that podcast does, what Charlamagne does, what I do, what Joe does, we're all gossiping. We're all doing what Wendy Williams did. We're just men. And we try to do it a little bit different. And some people try to do it more gangster than others. But we're all doing the same thing. But I'm asking, could we have those conversations? What I believe is being suppressed is that there is an era of hip-hop where there was a lot of pervy, sexual deviant, not only behavior, but relationship that seemingly were predatory and also borderlines on extreme grooming. That is often ignored because most of these people involved in this act, they are either now moguls, they've been removed from this industry, and even reshaping or framing a narrative around some of their behavior at this point would ruin an era. None of these guys want to come out and say, yeah, there was a lot of creeps that were the executives. Straight up. Now, I'm one that's definitely going to say don't believe every allegation. But I do think if we have 15 allegations, 30 allegations about people during a specific era, maybe we should start having a conversation about the culture that existed then. How did no one then say anything? How does that come out in 2015? How does all the dirt from the 90s come out in 2015? Maybe the people that were in or around in the 90s and early 2000s in this industry either were complicit or they turned a blind eye. Either or, still disgusting. That's only the conversation I'm begging to be had, but it won't be had. Now, when Kendrick Lamar says something, right? Kendrick Lamar says, your academics is compromised. We all kind of understand what he's trying to say and he means. He's like, yo, that's Drake's homie. Like, we're not going to get a fair shake over here, but whatever. It's Ack, I fuck with him. At least that's how I took the bar. It was just like, Ack's usually a really guy who will be in the middle, but I could see he's going to be on Drake's side. He's compromised. Well, if that was, allowed and excused, are y'all not compromised for Jay-Z? Are y'all not compromised for Rock Nation if y'all can't have these conversations that I'm even begging y'all to have because I don't know? If I knew, I wouldn't even ask y'all to talk about it because I talk about shit that niggas won't talk about. But I wasn't there. So I'm the person who now every single time an accusation comes out, I'm fielding. I'm like, is this all right? Why the hell is his name in the Epstein's files? Now everybody runs like interference. They know what interference is. They try to get ahead of the story. Hey, y'all are stupid to even believe this. Y'all are fucking stupid. Get some brains. Low intellect. Y'all believe anything. It's an unsubstantiated rumor. Well, isn't it kind of like how that starts? Jimmy Henchman back in like 2001, when the FBI went to him, we could look it up. The FBI, in a Q&A or interrogation with Jimmy Henchman, I believe, they asked, do you have any information about Puff Daddy fucking kids? And at that time, it probably was like, wow, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Later, we get to find out the police were always trying to figure out what the fuck Diddy had going on sexually. There was something to be talked about. So, not that I need an answer for any particular individual, but I'm saying, are we waiting for an indictment or are we waiting for 50's doc? Because 50 has said he's going to do a documentary on Jay-Z. At least he's down to have a conversation. Now, we all know it's going to be biased. And this is why I always look at his friends. I'm like, don't let the guy that don't like Jay-Z tell the story. How about y'all tell the story? Maybe y'all put some nuance to it. But from what I'm hearing from all the other people in the media, there is no story to tell. Okay? That was my opening monologue. Welcome. I know it's late. Yes, Jay-Z supposedly has a doc on the way. $50 Cent says he's going to make a Jay-Z documentary. He says, damn, they got your man Jay in the Epstein files. I got to do a doc on this shit. Okay? Interesting. Going back and just showing a little proof of what I was saying. Jimmy Henchman asked about Diddy. Boys, let me just see. It was like in 2001. Was it Jimmy Henchman? It was something on Smoking Gun, I believe. Let me see if I can find it. Smoking Gun. Drug lord claimed feds quizzed him about the sex life of Sean Diddy Combs. This was published in 2013. 2013. In an affidavit, and here's the affidavit. This is James Roseman. This is Jimmy Henchman. They said the questions in this like proffer session, and look, it says proffer right here. So the defendant reluctantly went to a proffer with the government. This is in 2011, right? 2011. He went to a proffer session with the government, and at the proffer session, he says the questions were not only about maybe his criminal involvement with certain things they were having inquiries into. It got into some people they think that he may have some proximity to. They say questions became even more bizarre when the prosecutor asked about entertainers' sexual preferences, including but not only Sean Combs having relationships with underage boys. interesting. I'll digress for now. But the conversation won't stop. Welcome. How are y'all doing? I know it's late. You know, when I stream late, I oftentimes look at the chat and I'm like, these are the real ones, right? We get half of our views. Right now we have like 9,000. But I'm like, these are the real ones. If you're up at 2:46 watching academics, you're the guy. You're the guy. And by the way, hate to do a selfless plug, but we got to get it, we got to sell these tickets. We have our, what is it? We have our show coming up. Miami. I need everybody to take note. I need everybody here. March 27th, Friday from 7 to 11. We'll be having our first ever live show in Florida. It will consist of music, comedy, and some special guest appearances. You guys will see what I have to offer live, and you guys could rate me as you see. I've taken... I feel like there's no one kicking it on stream like me. There's not even close. I feel like I keep telling people, I feel like this is my Jordan year. When it comes to content, don't do it. Like this year, I think I got to average 45. Smooth. This is why I'm, challenging myself streaming in a row, consistent. But I do think I'm bad on a different average. I wish I had these skills back in 2016, 2017. I felt like I would eviscerate Joe Budden on that goddamn show. Because I could deal with theatrics now. He was, I was always a logical person, but the theatrics was fucking bewildering. But that's what you kind of needed to do to get some views too. You would lean over the table, he would do this, he would do that, he would shout. Great way, and he's a great entertainer too. But I really think at this point, and I'm proud to say it, I think this is the Jordan year for me, man. This is where finally think the skills and everything else has come together. And confidently, when I look across the field, I'm like, ain't none of these media niggas fucking with me. Point blank, period. They could have 5 podcasts. They could have 15 niggas on a couch. They could have, I don't care what they got going on. It could be 2 legends. I don't care what they got going on. Academics on this here microphone can't be fucked with, and I ain't talking about little baby. So, with that in mind, I want to give you guys the best content, but also challenge myself, right? Once you think you have hit that peak, and not necessarily the peak because I could always get better. You want to challenge yourself, and I want to do it by, all right, well, they say, oh, you only entertain in the basement. All right, cool. Book me some dates. I'm going out. You notice whatever they say I can do, I say, all right, I'm going to do. Yo, you never see Ack outside. Oh, but we caught him outside lacking. Come on, which one is it? Yo, we never see this guy. He stays hidden in the house. Now we did catch him lacking outside. Which one is it? You can't really win. It's all good. But I am going to Lyric Theater in Miami on March 27th. Thank you guys so far for buying tickets. VIPs are going fast. They're going fast. The VIP tickets come with a meet and greet. I'd love to chop it up with you for a couple minutes. Take a picture, take a shot. Don't get me too drunk before the show. Pause. But we're going to have a good time. Also, if this goes well, I'm thinking about associated things because I'm probably going to stay in Miami for that weekend. Some of my close supporters might have to get a yacht, go party together. I want to kick it with y'all. Let's have a good time, right? But yeah, tickets are on sale. You guys could find it. The link is in my bio on Instagram, on both of the Instagrams. But yes, please make sure you buy these tickets quickly. I am coming to Miami. Other shows to be announced soon. And I do hear from the underserved places saying, hey, Ack, you coming here? We're either going to make it there this year or next year. Don't worry. I want to meet y'all. Okay. Anything else? Oh, well, I guess we should probably start here. I need a bartender in here, chat. Run out of my little secret juice and I don't know what to do. Hold up. Okay. Loading up the chats here as well. I do have my first topic I want to get into. My very first topic. Is this gonna load? Give me a second. I'm sorry for the, I hate dead air. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Shout out to everybody on King Academics. Oh, thank you for becoming a member. You guys should become members, please. Let's keep this going. We're leading in the aspect of hip hop media and how we present it. We do it on a live version, a live format, and when you guys think about development, I hope I don't know if I ever told you guys this. When I first started doing videos, I was trying to figure out the voice, the cadence, and everything. I did some writing. I used to write, and by the way, I think I'm an amazing writer. Like if I wrote some shit, like that monologue just now, I didn't write, but that's to show how far I've come. That's why I think I'm really that nigga now. I used to write a lot of that stuff. So like even I used to do like a 5-minute video. Some of that stuff was written, like not fully written, but I would just have like make sure I had some jokes. I would make sure, and I would kind of like look down and kind of like now. The beautiful thing about live, everything is just freestyle. Now I might be scatterbrained sometimes, but like, you got to do it live. This is why also I want to go out, because I'm like, maybe at that time, a lot of what I thought was my greatness was coming from me being prepared and writing. Now I'm riffing and I know how to like, just be witty and get shit done, right? Mr. Chronicles, thank you for the 2. It says, body that act. Yeah, I'm going to start doing like, opening monologues. Let's treat it like SNL, right? He says, talk Cam suing J. Cole. I will. Cam addressed it too, so we'll lean into that. Yeah, and somebody says, a Solo Vision says, are you allowing media passes? Me and FYBJ Main. Yeah, holla at me. We want everybody in the building. Everybody in the building, okay? Okay, great. So I want to start off today. And let me just take a shot with y'all. Let me check the Academy real quick. By the way, shout out to everybody who's on Kick. And, of course, my people on Rumble. But let's take a shot, and we're going to roll into this. I like that monologue feel just now. I liked it. Here we go. So we go here. I'm just checking the channels for, chats and whatever. Got to make sure you guys are acknowledged. Okay, so somebody said call Jaw Morant. Oh, man. CNG Dusky, or Duskio. Thank you for all the gifted memberships. Star Status Chris. Damn, my boy, big boy. 10 gifted memberships on the Academy. Academy's always busting, huh? Go say 87 Hill, what's up with you? And also CNG Dusky, thank you again. Infa Madoff, thank you for the 2. And he said, Biggie. By the way, they try to crucify me when I try to have the conversation. Was Biggie gay? I don't know. I wasn't around for the time, but his DJ's gay. The guy who signed him liked to play with man semen. He was rapping about sucking his daddy's dick because a girl looked so good. Maybe he was homosexual too. Don't kill me, but maybe. Let's talk about it. He seemed to be flirting with this idea of homosexuality a lot. Nobody wants to have the conversation. I get it. Some people are protected. He's a legend. Don't talk about him like that. Okay, cool. I think the Jay-Z topic is so like fickle. People feel like I'm trying to tell them that they should be grabbing a pitchfork and say, throw Jay-Z in jail. Not just the furthest thing from that. We just want to have qualitative conversation. And maybe the conversation comes back with, nah, Jay was a real nigga. He was normal. Like, he wasn't fucking with no little girls. What are you talking about? Let's have the conversation. Yesterday, I saw the K-Bots. They were on the timeline. You ever seen this video? It's a really popular video. How do I find it? I'm trying to find it. Hold on. Yeah, right here. Yesterday, they were trying to hit me with this, y'all. Y'all ever seen this video?
You know they got your mans.
You know they got your mans.
They got your mans on.
Now, obviously, the other part though is not irrelevant because it wasn't nothing like that.
Sex assault charges. Yeah, the nigga you be hanging with. The nigga you be hanging with. Oh, yeah, sex offender. And it was your man's. He was your boy.
So obviously, it's not about sex offense stuff, but you know, yesterday I was seeing a barrage of messages. The K-bots were back in my mentions. I was like, what's going on? Is Kung Fu Kenny dropping again? Did they not like my dissertation about the Grammys and how the Grammys is now Kendrick Lamar award show? They were in my mentions to say, they got your mans. They got your mans. 21 Savage, he biting again. He biting again. Now, like, unlike my peers, I'm not into ducking conversations. So we talked about it. My idea then, and my idea now, and I get what you're going to say. You're running interference just like how you've accused them of running interference with Jay-Z. I said, it is conspicuous if streams are removed. It is inconspicuous. It looks a little odd. I don't know what to make of it, but I am not defending it. But I can't qualitatively say what it is, right? Is it botting? Is it a recorrection of the algorithm that may be overcounted? Is it that they do audits to say, well, you know, supposedly a stream, you have to listen consecutively for at least 31 seconds. You have to come from whatever. Maybe people are using VPNs. Maybe then, who knows? And the amount of streams they'll count. There's a whole bunch of like rules that's per whatever. Maybe they're audits. We don't know. So we see streams get removed. Now, I'm not defending the idea of someone botting if it's my homies. I'm not that guy. Even though I have said on the record, not defending it, but on the record, I do understand. I believe to compete, botting it is required because everybody else is botting. We're in the steroid era. So while I might not defend it, if someone did bot, I do understand. Industry plants are botting. The guy who supposedly just gave Drake the beats in a rap battle is botting. Everybody botting. If you're a young artist, why ain't you? If you found out LeBron James was using steroids and you're now like a third year rookie, or not rookie, but like you're a junior now in the goddamn NBA. He's on roids. We got prescription P. What the hell is Paul George on? If they're all juicing, and I'm not saying I know this as a matter of fact, I'm just saying I'm creating a hypothetical situation. What you think you finna do out there? Oh, I'm just natural. Shut up. Take the morals somewhere else. I've told you, I said it last night, I said, yo, if botting is the way of the land, Drake's stupid to not bot. Fuck it. Now, I've said way before we knew a little bit more intimate details about botting, I said, based on what I know, there's an average inflation of 20% across all artists that labels are probably going to employ while rolling out a record. Through their marketing schemes, and that's not necessarily botting, but it's just overinflation based on certain things. It could be paid playlists, that's not botting, but it's going to get like almost artificial listens just because it's on a paid playlist. That's huge. So it's going to inflate. So I think there's a 20% fluff. So the idea at first when we were looking at numbers was, how do we find out the real? Now later on, I kind of like admitted, I said, it's too hard to tell at this point. You got to see, do these motherfuckers bring people out? And even then, that's a different stat because there's people that have a lot of, like, think about the SoundCloud era. 6ix9ine had 2 million people on live. You think 6ix9ine could fill an arena? I don't think so. It's my guys. I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. No, maybe he could have. But could he go on an elaborate tour like what you're seeing now? No. Lil Pump had all these type of, crazy like analytics on his Instagram, but what did that equate to? Like, was it massive streams? Not necessarily. So it's kind of hard to really quantify what is real numbers, right? What is real numbers? Because the metric, some people would say, well, your tours need to match your sales. Well, some people don't really go on big tours, right? It's really hard. It's like this really complex thing of you trying to figure out, is the consumption of the material, is the numbers we're seeing, how overinflated is it? Is it completely fake? And in the case of some artists, the ones that we call industry plants, are the numbers only there to convince us there's something that is not there, which is some steam and some motion? We're in the steroid era. It's getting really complicated. I'm one of the people they blame, even though, to be honest, if we really want to go back all the way to the origin, you got to blame 50 Cent. 50 Cent brought Nielsen SoundScan, brought the document on Hot 97 and read out all the sales of his ops. Yo, these guys are flopping. They're nothing to me. I am the biggest artist in the world. That's what 50 did. It gave fans a new type of understanding of what the industry was. It wasn't about the feel of the music. It wasn't about what you perceived as success in terms of, hey, I'm in a nightclub, I'm hearing this Ja Rule record, everybody's going up like, where would I be, my baby? It was about Ja Rule sold 70,000, I sold 1 million. We now put it in perspective. Ja Rule's nowhere near 50 Cent. Obviously that, I'm a math guy. Everybody knows I graduated with a biomathematics degree out of Rutgers University. I also graduated with a sociology major as well, but who cares about that? I use that to keep my grades up for the other thing. Really expensive degree. Never really used it a day in my life, but I try to employ it in research, and I employ it in, analyzing analytics to not only help me and my media brand, but also kind of break down the game. So we're here trying to figure out what's real, what's fake, what's what. We're at an interesting point. We're seeing behavior that is, it's cow whistling, that there's something that is not normal or something possibly, malicious going on, but we're not getting confirmation. Streaming is a thing, and my advice to a younger streamer, you want to get into this live streaming thing, bot too. You got a bot. Let me tell you this. Without calling names of some of these bigger streamers, they're botting their ass off. And half of them, they don't need to. But you know why they do? Because they got a business guy with them that wants to go to a brand and says, no, this guy doesn't get like 8,000 people watching him live, which is a lot. This guy actually gets 25. Triple the bag. Works. What makes dollars always makes sense. So the idea of botting actually comes back a lot because it controls perception and sometimes it controls deals. At a point it gets to be, what do you think, you're Gandhi or Jesus? You got to join in, right? Back to the music. We're at a place, and this might be an open call out that I'm trying to put out there for the people who we rely on for these information, right? So, it got to a point after 50 did that based on my background, and I realized that I could utilize and, do certain things to kind of figure out the numbers. I use that as one of the things people were intrigued with me about. I'm going to give you some numbers, right? I'm a numbers guy. But people blame me, by and large. I've had artists blame me to say, hey, listen, the reason I don't drop, you going to tweet out my first week sales. I won't mention, there's been at least 3 artists I've had that with. I've told you many times, it still happens, where labels in anticipation of a flop will reach out to me. They might offer me not to post it. They might, try to explain it, or they might try to, feed a narrative that it might not look that bad. Because when it does drop on your timeline that this super popping artist sold this and it looks like it's a complete flop, it is abysmal. Think about even me telling you the Lil Baby story. They were doing everything they were doing, including possibly him trying to get cool with me, because that first week sales, if it was low, could mean the perception of him is that he completely fell the fuck off. You even have Lil Baby responding to a YoungBoy fan page recently when he dropped what's called the leaks. Now, if you guys don't know, the leaks dropped, and it was projected to move only 14 or 15,000 in the first week. Lil Baby ran to the comment section And this was tweeted out by a 4K Trey fan page. It says, damn, YB Leaks project outsold. And it says, shocking. Baby ran to the comments and says that was one day, not the first week. Crazy. So numbers do control a lot. And these artists, they're fragile. Not only because of their own ego, but because of the perception of them. Completely get it. So what has it turned into? The analyzations and the numbers aspect. That's why we launched Chartdemics, because me as a full-time media personality, I don't want to do ESPN of numbers of musicians, but we should have a realm of what we do in our media company that covers it. So if you guys haven't ever followed, you guys should follow Chartdemics on Twitter and on Instagram. Okay, if you go here, you'll get the latest on whatever shit 11 minutes ago. Yeet, Come and Go is now certified officially gold. If you want to figure this out, I used to tweet all this out myself, but I realized, there's much more important things. I can't send out 5,000 tweets every day. Don Toliver, Octane, it's on pace to sell 120K first week. Chartdemics, you guys should follow. It's a very valuable resource. Not really a plug, but I really mentioned that to say the idea of numbers has changed the music. Now, Chartdemics, you might know of another page, which is called Chart Data. And that page, it does really qualitative, but like it does overall, not only hip hop, pop, everything. You'll see them talk about Beyonce, Ariana Grande. They give really good stats about what's going to happen, okay? There's an updated preview, by the way. They say Don Toliver might do 135. Okay. All right, Don. Here we go, though, right? So, and let me try to speed this up a little bit. Fan pages are invested in these numbers. You'll see a bunch of, what is this? I don't know, Ariana, Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, Travis Scott fans, Bad Bunny fans that are all under these posts, like really like, yes, our favorite artists are doing great numbers. Like this is a post about Bad Bunny earning 74.7 million streams on the day following the Grammys, and you'll see a bunch of his fans there. People are commenting. So fans do care, and I guess a lot of the industry, at least rap industry, they blame me for over promoting and making that a thing, but it is what it is. I feel like we're always going to get there. We're in the age of information. Now I say that to say, I'm also here to acknowledge we're in a confusing time. I wasn't ducking this conversation about 21 Savage yesterday, but I don't know what it means. Now, the call out here is to Spotify. I've had a contract with Spotify. I love Spotify. I believe they still love me. And trust me, when I got there, it was a really interesting thing because their comms team and their music team was always saying, hey, we have academics here for podcasting, but his job is to kind of call out some of the things that maybe we're doing. How can we make sure he's not getting a paycheck from us and calling us out? And trust me, there was conversations that occurred. But my job is always to, represent the fans. So when y'all mentioned 21 Savage, and we could bring it back up, 21 Savage, I looked at it and I said, what does this mean? There was 25 million lifetime streams removed from the album. What does it mean? The K-bots were quick to say, they got your mans. They got your mans.
Hey, they got your mans.
People said, hey, call a spade a spade. You've been saying bot like us, the K-bots, we caught your man botting. Now, as I said, I think everybody should be botting, but I'm not going to defend botting because I do think it's unethical, but if everybody's cheating, you got to cheat too. With that being in mind, is this botting? Is this a correction because of fake and inflated streams? I'm looking to Spotify to give us clarity. Spotify has conveniently every month removed streams from artist profiles or from their platform total count that you could find via APIs and such forth, and they haven't given a, you know, they'll say they're monitoring certain stuff, but they won't tell us when an artist fuck up. Why? Probably because the label says if you call out our artist, it's going to do way more harm than good. So they just remove streams and it's quiet. But with that, there is no punitive effect. We don't know who's doing what wrong, and we don't know if they're getting punished. And because there's no call out, there is no embarrassment factor. So it's left to like people who are evaluating these streams to figure out who is doing what. So when this comes up, people run to me to say, is 21 Savage botting? Is he botting? I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know. Here's why I say I don't know. Is it weird? Kind of is weird. But I'm the person that always remember this about me. You tell me the rules and I apply it to everybody. Right? Now, I will say, Savage did reach out to me. I didn't get a chance to get on the phone with him today. I was really, today was abysmal. Today was abysmal. I can't lie to you. Savage, but he did message me. He was like, you know, and really, I think it's in regards to this. Where's my man? Yo, he says, yo, the shit is cap. He said, bro, why the fuck would I bot 25 million? LOL. He says, I would just bot 100 million if I was going to do that shit. If you got the plug, why only do 25? Let's do 100. Now, we could do it on the side here. I got my little handy-dandy calculator. You guys can't see it. 25 million streams. Let's go with the current formula. What is it? I'll look at it. How many streams currently is one album sale? They just updated that, by the way. Currently, is it 1,500? Is that the new formula? Because they had just, like, announced it. I guess it's 1,500, right? Okay, cool. 1,500. Okay, yeah, they announced it, so 1,500. No, that's RIAA. Billboard changes rules. Hold on. Billboard had changed the rules. Okay. As of early 2026. So this is a new rule. Okay. So 1,000 paid, 25 ad supported. So let's go with 1,200 because you're going to have to combine both of them. There's way more paid on the platform than ad supported from what I've heard. So let's just kind of go with the, 1,200 thing. So if 25 million, and we're going to imagine, say 25 million were all in the United States, right? All in the United States. So if 20, because if it's not in the United States, it will not count for Billboard. I keep saying that. If you stream from Sri Lanka, nobody gives a fuck. Go look at the Sri Lanka charts. Billboard charts are U.S. charts, okay? Now, there's Billboard UK, but nobody looks at those except, the blokes. Anyway, no disrespect. All right, so 25 million divided by 1,200. And that's about 20,000 sales if all of these were in the United States. Now, usually, there's like a mix. Be some overseas. You've heard of the overseas bot farms, but they might be on VPNs. Who knows? Let's just say 20,000 sales. So it's roughly, based on the math I just did, 21,000 sales, right? Which would be ironic, right? 21 Savage botting 21,000 sales. That'd be hilarious, right? Anyway, let's continue in the train of thought. Right? The train of thought we got to continue with. And by the way, let me just put this up there that you guys can see that I'm not making shit up. Okay, display capture. This is my handy dandy. I did the math there. 20,000.833. My metric I used was 25 million divided by 1,200. Okay, cool. Now, we're still trying to figure out, so what the fuck does this mean? I don't get it. What does it mean? Right? Is it something going on? Is it the streaming company? Also, here's the thing too, and this is why I brought up streaming before. I know I'm being a little bit long-winded here, but forgive me. This is why I brought up like regular streaming in terms of like Kaisenad or whatever. Not accusing him of doing anything, but like, as a streamer, like say me right now, if a viewer wanted to bot me, you could just go pay for you could pay for 1,000 viewers and it'll jump to my view count. Remember when I was trying to chase like the 1 million subs on King Academics? People, probably a supporter, botted me to 1 million that we could have a moment. And then I realized, I was like, that jumped up too quick. That's not real. So the question here is, not all the time if someone's botting, at least in regular streaming, does that necessarily come from the artist, even though you would think it would come from maybe their label. Could anybody bot for somebody? If I love Drake, right, and say I got, I don't know, $300,000 to waste, and I want Drake to beat somebody, could I just bot his music? Or does his label have to do it? How does botting work? Like, we're still kind of like iffy on that. How do you bot? Because in regular streaming, if you like Plaque Max, you could bot his stuff without him knowing. Could you do that for music? Is it something where if, let's say 21 Savage's music did get botted, that he should know? Now, this is only going to come with me thinking about penalties. If you bot it, you should get a penalty. Flag on the play, technical foul, timeout, you know? So if an artist has been proven that it got botted, is it them? Is it someone else? Is there a label? We're unclear. Spotify refuses to say anything. The labels have no incentive to say nothing. Billboard, because they have their own internal auditing system, they don't say nothing either. And it becomes this really confusing thing. By the way, and I could probably find the article, historically, when there has been close battles, I've only seen one time when someone threatened to take Billboard to court, and Billboard retroactively went back and changed the rankings of a previous chart. Now, the reason they don't like doing that, Billboard is a magazine, like how Complex was a magazine. When they print something, they usually send it out. They don't want to make changes. So even if, and it gets political, labels get on through email and lawyers hit them up because these charts matter. It affects the entire industry. They'll be like, you got that wrong. You counted some fake shit. Hey, you counted these guys using credit cards, but they broke this rule. We have proof for it. Da, 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 da. And sometimes Billboard will acknowledge it, but not change it. One time I think I see them change. And by the way, Outer Love Club, I think for the 10, I know you said, did you see that they caught Doechii botting her last single? 350K streams was removed. And that's precisely my point. Tell me the rules and I'll go with it. I'm not playing favorites, but tell me the rules, I'll go with it. Spotify won't talk to us about it. The labels won't talk to us about it. The artists are always going to deny it. But how do we, in a non-biased way, call a spade a spade? Now, the K-bots who avidly ran to me, they said, this is the proof. It could mean nothing else. Well, if we are going to say Savage botted, let's go to our favorite industry plan. News came down yesterday. Girl Get Up by Doechii, featuring SZA, received negative streams, which means it's a correction to the total stream count. Negative streams on Spotify on the 1st. Now, why does it matter on the 1st, y'all? Because supposedly Spotify every month does a correction and an audit, and they remove streams supposedly that were fake, but we're not getting confirmation. So we're left to think this. Is 21 Savage and Doechii botting? Are none of them botting? Do we just not know? We got to call a spade a spade. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Now, I know what some of y'all are saying. Yo, Ak, you're only really ready to tackle this shit because you're only really ready to tackle this shit because you've seen some random page post this up about Doechii. and you're trying to save your man's 21 Savage. Well, I wasn't trying to save 21 Savage because, again, I analyze numbers as well for a living, just to be clear. When I seen this come out, I know how media works and I know how numbers work. I'm one of the rare few. This coming out and being plastered among the pages I've seen it on, not saying it's lies, but it's a campaign. That means someone paid for this to go out. Because, by the way, the Deutsche thing, this is the only page. Look, let's go forward. Only, 2 pages. We don't even know what I've never seen these pages a day in my life. Okay, now I see some people posting it, but like, it's not there. It's not as spread out, or it's not as posted everywhere like the Savage thing. This is a goddamn campaign to let people know this is fake. There's money behind that. Trust me, there's money behind that. Now, I'll get into the minutiae of who's running a campaign against Savage, but whatever. Could do that later. But for the people who would say, "Ack, well, you know what? You're trying to save your man's." I want to show you. I'll show you the proof. So I'm asking the K-bots. I will acknowledge both of them are botting, but I know it ain't one of them botting. If we're considering that's bots, we don't know what it is. Now, never shown you guys this, but out of the many, places and things that I use to monitor stuff and kind of get my extrapolations, and I do some slight calculations to get, first weeks if his daily double doesn't do the job for me. This here is a proprietary company that does data analysis for music. This is my official account. You can see DJ Academics right here. You see it up on the upper right. This is my official account. Okay. And on here, I could look up any artist in the world. Right. So I go up here and I see a screenshot. Let's type in Deutsche. Well, I'll just type it in. Fuck it. Now sometimes there's like multiple artists. Let me just type in Deutsche. Let's figure out what they find. It should be the artist that's popular. Why is the rank so low on here? Let's see. Am I spelling her name right? No. So this is a shell account that somebody probably tried to create. It pops up on social media. Oh, it's Deutsche right here. Rank 294. And why am I doing this? I want to confirm, in case people say, "Ack, you're only trying to make up some fake news on Deutsche because you're mad that your man's got caught." We're going to find out now. Deutsche, she's a number 294th artist in the U.S. She has a one sheet. I can find her booking information, whatever. Okay, let's keep going down. All right, all type of shit. What we're interested in is this song that she just dropped, right? It's with SZA. So we go to tracks and albums. Let's go there. And here's the song. Girl Get Up. The release date was December 29th, right? And fuck it. There's 2 versions. One is explicit. That's why it has this logo. And one is not explicit. That's why it doesn't have this logo. It means it's clean. Most people usually listen to the explicit version. That probably has the most amount of streams, even though Billboard has a way to combine them when they do their charts. They don't treat them as separate songs. Okay. When I click on it. Okay. Can I click on it? Come on now. Okay. Wait. Click, motherfucker. I think it's loading. Is it? No? Give me 1 second. All right, cool. So now I'm here on the song. Here's the songwriters. Damn, it's 10 niggas I wrote this motherfucking song. What the hell? Chad Hugo. Okay, ain't that a nigga who used to be with Pharrell? He's suing him too. Terrence Thornton, Brian Christopher Williams. Who's that? All right, anyway. Record label's Top Dog Capital. 3 minutes long, has the IRC code. And yeah. Now, it gives me all type of analytics about this song. Tells me what playlists are currently, it's added to the top 5 playlist is getting streams from, and the position ranges from it. So I could literally look through to see what the fuck. Look, of course, the needle drop, the needle drop playlist. You know, he's like a gay albino bitch anyway. Of course, he got it up on there, right? Who knows? He probably got some bread from the labels for it. Who cares? But when you get to here, for me, I go to the stats. So I click on the left side, go to the stats. It's important to figure out how these songs are doing, right? And I can do this every day. I can do this on any song. I can do this on any artist. All right, what's now important is I'm trying to verify, did Doechii lose streams for a day? Because a screenshot, anybody could believe, right? Oh, it was a screenshot. So I go here. It says, hold on. This happened on February 1st. So we're going to sort the daily streams. Actually, we can see it here. It already pops up. You can tell. Look. Chat, look at it. This is every day. Every day. 14 million for the 18th. 15th for the 19th. 16 million for the 20th. Let's keep going. We're at 130. They had, which is January 30, 21 million. The 31st, 22 million. 22 million again for the 1st of February. And when they do the updated numbers for the 2nd, remember, she's going upwards. 20 million. The song keeps going up and up. They have a change of 357,000 streams. So yes, Spotify indeed removed. It's right here. 357,450 streams from Doechii. I didn't just pull up a screenshot out my ass. I'm looking it up. We could find anything. If you want me to look up not like it, we could find anything. So now I'm back to the same question. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Is Doechii botting? Now, I think she's an industry plan regardless. Like, you know, come on. Industry plan doesn't necessarily mean botting. But infamously, you know, which, you know, I'm not going to stand by necessarily those lyrics because I don't think she's a dirty bee. But, you know, Aiden Ross said, you know, she's botting her views. And I was like, I don't know if she's botting her views. I just think she's an industry plan getting the industry plan package, which is fake awards. Like, you know, they give the industry plans like all these things. Like, they just give you woke, like these woke award shows. You get like high slots at festivals. And you're like, who likes this motherfucker? Like, yo, you get what I'm saying? You get to realize there's no like Doechii stands. Like, I've never met one. But like, they just get all these type of things. And you're like, huh? Usually it makes sense when you see it. For the industry plan, it never makes sense, right? But that doesn't mean necessarily botting. But it could include it. So we now realize that there is a correction to her streams. So every day she's gaining, right? The change is about 500,000 streams. Then she loses negative 357,000 streams. Again, I'm just asking, I think Spotify should say something. I would like for Spotify to say it across the board. Hey, listen, we made a correction to Doechii streams or 21 Savage or whoever else and say, hey, listen, we found some fraudulent activity or streams we can't verify. We will not be counting them. We will not be paying out for them. Or if it's pervasive and it happens consistently, make this thing that says, hey, this artist will not be getting supported with our editorial playlist. They're on punishment for buying, if that's what it is. But we don't know. So at this point, here's what I say to you. Either you believe they both bought it or none of them bought it. I don't know. Now, will the K-bots get online and said, well, Savage and Doechii are botting? Or will they just be like, nah, Savage definitely bought it, but like Doechii, like, oh, no. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. That's it. I'm a logical guy. I don't care either way. This idea of botting, we figure out, you know, it's like the steroid era, but it's not that like, we hear Young Thug bragging about it. Yo, I bought it that fuck nigga Gunna streams. It is what it is. I bought them sales. So you guys let me know. I personally, you know, I'm a little bit, I can't make a definitive argument about either war. So either they're both botting, they're not botting. And I'm keeping it the same on both ways, right? Savage is my man. But like, you know, and maybe the artists themselves don't know about it, right? I'm not saying like the Savage look like he's fucking like computer literate, my nigga. Like, yo, Savage is like tapping into the Indian bot farms with the VPN and like, yo, you know what I mean? Doechii too, you know what I mean? Doechii look like her internet literacy is just TikTok and woke shit, right? So maybe it's the labels. Maybe it's TDE, right? Maybe TDE got the bot farm, right? Maybe it's TDE, right? Punch, you be on Twitter all the time. You help. Maybe Spotify tells you, and probably should, because Spotify probably has to let the label know we're removing streams and got to tell them why. So they had to tell, I believe, is it Interscope? I don't know. Wait, hold on. It's going to say what label she's on. Spotify is going to have to say it. So Punch, you come help us out. Maybe they've given you some course. Share the email, my nigga. What'd they say? Well, why are they giving her negative streams? Is it botting? Is it an error on their side? But something doesn't sound good. It doesn't smell good from either or, right? And I'll leave it there. Yeah, she's on Capital. Oh, okay. So it's TD Capital. It's not Interscope for this. Okay. All right. Oh, now I see the new grift. Yo, Ack. Nah, Savage had 20 million removed. Doechii only had 350K. All right, well, you have a 25 song album versus one song. Okay. Okay, whatever, man. Like, you know, we I don't know if you want to get in the weeds of it. So, you know, this is gonna put the fans in a pickle who love to just be one-sided, right? Like, you know, it's like this idea with Kendrick when they're like, yo, Kendrick is like this moral compass of a good guy, right? Where if he says Drake is this deranged sexual deviant, he's disgusting. Yes, Kendrick could say it because Kendrick isn't persuaded by gambling, or Kendrick isn't chasing women and he's married, and Kendrick doesn't have, you know, whatever about him. Then you get to realize, well, he brings out Dr. Dre to do the psst, I hear dead people, whatever, see dead people, which he has a bunch of assault charges. So when he said that Drake's homies got weird cases, it was like, yes. But then when Kendrick stands right next to Dr. Dre, who intuitively, if you think about weird cases, that's some weird shit. No one wants to bat an eye. When Kendrick goes to collaborate with a few people, artists that I like actually, so I don't want to call them out and throw them in this mix. When Kendrick's talking about Drake and abusers he co-signs and hangs with, that's bad. But Kendrick could go do songs with abusers as well. Okay, it's the thing where like fans like the argument only when they could point across the hill. They won't say, you know what? Let's keep it a bean. Both Drake and Kendrick got some weird ass niggas around him. They won't say that. They rather twist the conversation to make it that is only about one. TDE, their top brass, you know, no pun intended, they're facing civil allegations in a civil suit about sexual harassment. That's a weird case if we're considering civil suits weird cases. What is to be said about Kendrick Lamar? Again, fan shit. All right. Let's keep it going, man. It's now come to pass that this Blueface and NLE Choppa thing is not going out. And I think I made some good advices yesterday, or I gave good advice. Yo, Blueface, brother. Blueface. Respectfully, you know, and I think I spoke pretty decent of you yesterday. We don't, you know, obviously we're not like best buds or nothing, but I do see this idea, and I think I should address that too. I'm going to address it in a second. Actually, we should start there. Right? Because I do want to address like this Whack 100 thing. You know, me and Whack did talk. We saw each other fight. And actually, maybe I called him, but not right now because I'm on like a little roll, I want to derail it. And I know sometimes I feel he derails the stream. I love Wack though, but still. However, I want to be very clear. Oh, the first before I say that, Blueface, you got to stop being a bully, brother. You get what I'm saying? You know, Blueface, you're 6'5", like 270. You need to go fight Deontay Wilder. Okay? This idea that you're catching face, they homies. That's cool, brother. I was watching NLE Choppa to say, NLE, if you're an idiot, you'll entertain that. There's nothing wrong with ducking a fight. Like, if I was that retarded nigga, little baby, I would be like, yo, bro, that nigga got a working brain and hand-eye coordination. I'm not fighting him. I'm good. But, of course, the ego of a street rapper sometimes will put yourself in precarious situations. You know what I mean? We all got to pick and choose our battles. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I don't think Soulja Boy should be fighting Blueface. I don't think NLE Choppa should be fighting Blueface. In reality, Blueface one of them big-ass motherfucker. Like, you know, I'm not trying to evoke violence into this, but you don't fight this type of nigga. You ain't on the prison yard. What the fuck? Oh, let's meet up and squabble. No. You're going to meet up with something else. No. You know, Blueface just, I don't know if you think he was in an incubation system or, you know, when Goku used to go in the hyperbolic time chamber. He went to jail, he caught like 1,000 fades. Now he's out here trying to bully these guys. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. NLE, let's squabble. Dead homies. Blueface, you got to pick on somebody on sides, brother. Okay? Or go, you know, shit, we've seen you box professionally. Go fight, you know, since you love using them hands so much, go fight one of the professional fighters, right? I think even Swaggy P is going to fight soon. I got Blueface. Blueface, really, I think he can fight. Anyway, before I get to the topic of him and NLE, I do want to address, you know, this idea and what I spoke about with Wack 100. It was clipped, I won't say not necessarily out of context, but people took a piece of what I said and they ran with these salacious titles to say, I am accusing Wack 100 of completely robbing Blueface. Now, you know, I could probably play what I said, you know, just to make sure I'm holding myself accountable and not trying to like change the narrative. But also I want to play what Wack said in response to it. And maybe that's fair, right? Let's go. Academics, Blueface, Wack 100. Let's see if we can find that clip. So I want to be very factual about it. Here we go. Was it this?
Wack 100 has issued a warning. So listen, so I'm gonna play.
What the fuck? YouTuber with us. What the hell is this? Here we go. It's a conflict of interest. You know, I'm not gonna get in their business, but I always knew Blueface was pretty stupid. I'm gonna tell you why. Blueface is signed to Wack 100 and managed by Wack 100. Let me tell you how this works. When you sign to a label, they take at least half already. Then you're getting managed by the guy who owns the label. So of your 50% that you're getting, or less than 50%, he's still taking at least 20% of that too. It's double dipping. You get what I'm saying? So you never sign, you never get managed, or you don't have a management company owned by the people that also sign you. Okay. Now before I address and kind of like, not necessarily clean up what I meant or really fully explain, I do want to give Wack 100 the opportunity. And he did respond. He responded here. Was it here?
Academics claims that you've been stealing money from Blueface.
Yeah, I got on his ass about that. That was crazy.
So for the record, he said since Blueface is signed to you on a music level and managed by you, that means that you're essentially taking like half of his money.
Here's the thing with academics. When I talked to him, I said, have you ever done a contract with anybody musically?
Wack never said that to me, and I absolutely have. I literally have a joint venture, just like I have a joint venture at the Academy Records. It falls under 10K. Used to be under Capitol, and now they send me notice. They're under Atlantic or AMG, okay, which is a newly formed thing. Elliot, which is the son of Lucian Grange. The deal I did was with the son of Lucian Grange, which is Elliot Grange. It's on 10K Projects. It's there. technically I'm signed to my own label, right? Which literally I had to sign that myself, and also I signed another person as well, and also I've offered contracts as well. But that's neither here nor there. Would I say I have more experience in Wack with doing contracts and stuff like that? I would say no, because Wack has worked with a lot more people, clearly.
No, I said, what are you talking about? Well, I'm looking at Finesse. Finesse's contract, he got 4 or 5 people. I would never allow that to happen with none of my clients because I know too many direct people.
But who is it? It's
Bag Yo.
Oh, so he originally signed
Mob Ties.
and then Mob Ties.
JPE, which is the dad. You got Atlantic as the mother company. So that's 4. And then him. You see what I'm saying? So his 20% is really probably 20% of a 40%, which is really like 8%. This is where Act gets shut down. He said Blueface is signed to me, right? Blueface was signed to Cash Money West. Cash Money West is owned by who?
Birdman.
I just oversee that division. So what the fuck are you talking about?
Academics claims.
The reason why Wack is really good is that he has a way with words, like any great media personality is. That's why I think he's one of the top media personalities. I want to make some corrections to what he's saying, and also probably help clearing up what I was saying. I don't know the full details of the business between Wack 100 and Blueface. Anything I'm saying it in general, even though based on what we've heard publicly from Blueface's own mouth on interviews and even recently, it feels like what I said matched up with what was going on. I don't have the contracts. I haven't looked at Blueface's stuff, so I'm going off of what they have said publicly, what we perceive, and how that should be interpreted. Here's the very premise. The premise is this. If I do a contract, like put it like this, this happened with the Offset like QC thing. It's a reason why, well, let me use another analogy before I get to that. If me and 15 chat niggas get caught up in a RICO, hopefully we don't, right? It's a reason why it's a conflict of interest for your lawyer to be a lawyer of someone else. Why is it a conflict of interest? Because at a certain point, they might have to enter into a proffer status or whatever with the government that now you have to pick whose interest you're prioritizing. It's a conflict of interest for someone else. That's why people have separate attorneys. By the way, it's the reason why a judge would get recused in many situations. If a judge, who many judges used to be prosecutors and also had private practices as defense attorneys, if a judge previously, and by the way, I thought this helped out YSL Mondo, Fonnie Willis previously represented YSL Mondo, who's self-acknowledged as a co-founder of YSL, when she was doing private practice in between one of her prosecutorial gigs, and she represented him for a gun case. Clearly, who knows how that representation went? She may have had a lot of knowledge from attorney-client privilege. Now, because she represented him, it would be unethical of her to then prosecute him, given the fact that she also has information that it should be only between them. Now, technically, that should be a thing, but what would normally happen is that prosecutor would recuse himself. Doesn't mean that YSL Mondo could never be charged. No. What it means is that to not have a conflict of interest, you don't want someone who previously was with you to be prosecuting you, because now it puts you in a disadvantaged position. So whether it's a judge that used to be an attorney that represented you, or a prosecutor that used to be a defense attorney that represented you, those people would what they call recuse themselves. It's a conflict of interest. In business, if I'm trying to sign someone, like I was trying to, and I eventually did, I successfully signed someone to the Academy Records back then. They wanted to use my lawyer. My lawyer helped me get the deal. My lawyer got 5% of my overall deal for the Academy Records. He is incentivized to make sure me, who's going to be the guy who's signing a bunch of people, I got the budget, I'm the guy. He wants me to get the most of money because he's going to get the most of money, right? So it wouldn't be ethical if I am signing a young kid and I said to the kid, you need a lawyer, but use my lawyer. That lawyer's not going to go in there and say, hey, let me get the deal really in the favor of this guy when I'm already eating with Ack over here. He's just going to get me the best deal. Do you understand? It's a conflict of interest. It's a pretty simple thing to acknowledge. Here was my understanding of what Blueface contract and situation was, right? And Wack does a really sleight of hand right here, and I want to point it out.
What is it? It's
Money bag, yo. His contract.
Here we go.
Anybody, music.
his money.
Here's the thing with academics. When I talk to him, I said, have you ever done a contract with anybody musically? No. I said, what are you talking about? Well, I'm looking at finesse. Finesse is
Now, even though the conversation that I had stemmed from finesse, I was talking about a particular part. It's not about the 5 people in the contract. James Prince, the father's, James Prince Sr., he's listed in the contract, but really he's a manager. It becomes a conflict of interest. That's where I got this idea of conflict of interest. If he's supposed to be managed by the father, but signed to the son, why in the contract does the father, who is quote unquote going to be that's already a conflict of interest. You're managed by the father of the nigga you're signed to. Come on, like these are like kind of simple things, right? Like we're not like we don't got to be Aristotle or something, right? But whatever. Let's say that happens. When reading the contract, the father was also included as someone that was going to take percentage. Well, to me, that's double dipping. How are you the manager? And how are you also in the contract as the person that will be getting some type of proceeds from the music as if you were a label or, and this is the important part, a production company. Now, I'm going to explain to you a little bit of music shit because Wack is going to overtalk it right here. Listen to Wack.
his contract. He got 4 or 5 people. I would never allow that to happen with.
Okay, so I explained that part already, right? It's not about necessarily the amount of people. It's that some people are doing 2 different roles, but they're all claiming percentage. That's a problem.
None of my clients, because I know too many direct people.
But who is it? It's
And also the problem, even if you're saying, because somebody could make they could make the argument to say, well, JPE, which is James Prince Entertainment, he's in the contract because, you know, he's going to do management stuff, but he's just getting his money from the label. Well, no, you could do a letter of direction. And even then, that still piggybacks the artist because you're saying that you have now signed a manager for the duration of your record deal. That seems more than a manager. That seems like a partner. A manager you should be able to fire whenever you want to fire him based on whatever deal you have. Now, maybe that includes, hey, you're going to be my manager for this entire record deal. Okay, cool, if that's what you want. But if your manager is baked in your deal that even if he's not working, he still gets paid, that seems like a partner, not a manager. A manager gets 20% off the top when he does services for you. But if your music does well, you know, and you had this deal, and whatever that comes from this deal, if he just gets paid no matter what, that sounds like a partner or an investor. But again, I'm trying to show you the sleight of hand of, you know, Wack speaking as if people don't understand, like the music industry is so complicated.
Money bag, yo.
So he originally signed
Mob Ties.
and then Mob Ties.
JPE, which is the dad. You got Atlantic as the mother company. So that's 4. And then him. You see what I'm saying? So his 20% is really probably 20% of a 40%.
Okay, and this is where Wack does the talking. You know when Wack starts doing this, you're like, well, he got to be right.
Which is really
And he's kind of right here about finesse.
like 8%. This
But now the conversation comes back to him and Blueface.
is where Act gets shut down at. He said Blueface is signed to me, right? Blueface was signed to Cash Money West.
Okay. Now, this is, you know, I'll acknowledge I don't know the full details or all the intricacies of his business, but I'm going off what I always heard Wack say. So Cash Money West is Birdman's company, right? That's kind of ran or overseen by Wack 100, or was, I don't know if currently. But just like how Atlantic, Uzi's quote unquote technically signed to, Uzi's really signed to Generation Now. That's called a production company. Wack 100 is leaving out a step. Yeah, Blueface is signed to Cash Money West, but my understanding is that he's signed to Cash Money West through 100 ENT, which is Wack's production company. So technically, Blueface is signed to you, and you signed his rights to Cash Money. Now, I could be wrong. I haven't seen his contracts. And, you know, shit, you want me to go back on my trusted site? I could go back on my trusted site and pull up Blueface's name, right? We could pull up his name and, you know, give me 1 second. I don't know. Let me go find some tracks. Hold on. I'll put it on screen when I find. What was like his biggest track? Is it like? Okay. Here we go with this. Why does it say record label unavailable? All right, it's okay. What I'm gonna do is let me do here and let me just go to Spotify yet again, right? So when I go to Spotify and let's go to Blueface. This is gonna, you know, they usually are accurate and will print wherever it's coming through, which you can figure out label information there, right? So I don't know. His latest single is called Vibes, right? Vibes. Rich the Kid, DDG, and Blueface. I don't think this is. I think this is Rich the Kid's song, low key. What's the last? I want to see the last Blueface solo song to be able to see. Better featuring Stunner Girl. Okay, let's look at that. Now, you see what you see right here that says 2026 100 ENT. That's what Spotify is acknowledging the label to be. So when they're going to pay out for this song, even though it's only 142,000 views, they're going to pay 100 ENT. That's Whack 100's company. Now, granted, from what I'm hearing and kind of like, you know, I'm kind of figuring it out, it doesn't seem like Cash Money is in the picture anymore. So I get it. Now the production company stands alone. So it's just through Whack, right? Now, but right now, you know, and this would be my argument to Whack. Your last song is dropped through a quote-unquote record label that you own. How are you not his label? He could just upload this to TuneCore without you. If you're not his label, it shouldn't say 100 ENT. It could say on Schoolyard Crip. When it says this, it's because it's going up through you as a label. That's how it works. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't. Okay, now let's go off this assumption that Cash Money's not involved in this one, but maybe in the past one. So let's go back. Let's go back to 2024. We're going to pick a random song, but it has to be a Blueface song. We want to see how these things came out. Baby Mama. Okay, this is 2023. Perfect. Baby Mama Drama. Let's click on this song. What the fuck is this? 88601 Records DK. Okay. So what this is telling me now, right? What this is telling me, at least currently, let's go to BDD. Like, again, I'm just trying to figure out label. Okay, what label is this? 88601. 88601 Records. When I look on the song stats for this, I could tell whose label is registered to. It's distributed through DistroKid. And they've dropped TK, Cowboy, Rich the Kid, DDG. It says related artists, but it looks like it's mainly a DDG. No, not DDG. I mean, it's a Blueface label. Okay, so I don't know. That could be something else. And that's where I'm down to stand to say if I'm wrong, right? But going back, still in 2023. Oh, hold on. Sorry, Chad. In 2023, I want to make sure this is big. Pause. It says 100 ENT. I don't know. This song is a big song. So Spotify would pay out 100 ENT. Now, whether Whack considers 100 ENT a production company or a record label, it's the same thing. Usually, just colloquially, people think that the record label is the funding party, which is Cash Money if Cash Money is attached. But he's technically signed to, or normally, because I don't know what deal they really have going on, but he's signed to you. Like, for example, if Atlantic Records drops Uzi and Uzi drops a song without Atlantic, it's still going to say Generation Now. He's signed to Generation Now. That's it. If Blueface was not signed to Whack, 100 ENT would not be on his music. Why is your record label on his music? So that's why I'm coming up with that. I haven't seen their contract, just to be clear, but I'm going off of this because let's go find some other songs. I don't know, Blue Racks. This is Better Days. Okay, this is Better Days. Is this one? It's scared to come outside. Tell them boys get out the way. Yeah, right here. Outside Better Days. This is 2021. Let's click on this. Here we go. Fifth Amendment. Okay, so this one. So what it appears to me is that, I don't know, maybe he's signing these like single deals. It might be single deals. See, I don't know. And this one, I stand to be wrong. Because if we keep seeing different labels, now some of this label shit is because of Bobby Billions. So Bobby Billions is on Empire and whatever. And E1, I think that's the one who distributed Blueface's record. But I'm just going off of what we're seeing. That's it. That's it. So sometimes Blueface is dropping records coming out through what seemingly is wax. Where was Tatiana under? Let me just look at all these big songs. Here we go. Fuck. Why can't it? Shit, Tatiana. I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. Tatiana. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm just trying to look at the label information. Okay, so in 2018, there is no whack on this, right? There's no whack. And that's the first album. Then Dirtbag drops. And that's on Cash Money. So Dirtbag has Cash Money on it. So seemingly, 100 ENT is not involved yet. Then Famous Crip Reloaded drops. And who drops that? Fifth Amendment. Well, they own the rights to it, so they would obviously redrop it. But later on, it looks like, so again, I'm down to amend, I'm not that egotistical. What it appears is that Whack 100's label came in after, looked like Cash Money does no longer do business with Whack. It's very clear, right? Like they literally was on the second album. We don't see them since, right? So they were here for the Dirtbag album. And after that, which by the way was a pretty good album. I like that song Bleed It. Bleed It was dope. They had Daddy with Richard Kidd. But after that, we're going to see like Wax label, which if you're asking me, maybe single deals. So I might be digressing, Maybe it's not this big ass record contract that, slave deal that some people might picture that Wack got him in. But Wack is getting these single deals for him, clearly. Right, some of these songs I never heard. Patience, where does this come out of? Yeah, Fifth Amendment seems to be one of those. So anyway, it doesn't matter if it's on all the records or not. The principle is going to stand, right? It's a conflict of interest if your label is also your manager. Now, I spoke to Wack, and Wack said, yo, if I'm operating as a production company and we take something and we get a bag from a label, I don't double dip. And I want to be clear, Wack said he doesn't double dip. Which that would be unethical, even though he technically could, if he's on paper as management. Because if you're on paper as management for me, academics, it would mean if Spotify comes with 5 million, you take 2 million, or not 2 million, but 20%, right? Which is 1 million, right? Which is, okay, cool. Then if Spotify gives an advance, you would get 20% of whatever the advance is. But if you also get an advance yourself, that's some partner shit. So that's why it's double dipping. So, I hope you guys understand. I think it's pretty simple. Yo, your manager can't be a label, bro. Like, you pick one. My nigga, either you're my label or my manager. Now, granted, does Blueface and Wack seemingly may have like this different relationship where maybe Wack is just hustling and getting him like single deals in a bag? Like, he might get a song that starts popping off and Wack goes to like E1. So it looks like he's an independent artist. He gets a song popping off. Wack goes to E1 and says, yo, do you want, Bleed It, or you want this particular song? They say, yeah, we'll give $1 million for it. And Wack does that through his company, which is now the production company for that one song. But necessarily, he doesn't have Blueface in a long-term recording contract. I guess. But generally, the point should not be dismissed. Your record label and your manager shouldn't be the same person. Ever. It's not a Wack 100 thing. It's not a Blueface thing. It's for any artist. The moment you sign to a nigga, if he says, yo, let me manage you, be like, yo, now I'm going to get my manager over there. That's all good. Your manager should only think about your interest, not the interest of maybe a label. Okay, so all right, we're done with that. Done with that, and we are now here and back to the bullshit. We're at the drama. I know it's 4 o'clock and we're finally getting to some drama. If you guys haven't seen the back and forth between NLE, Choppa, and Blueface, it has gone off the rails. I think Blueface is sort of being a bully. Like, Blueface, you came out of jail. You look like you should be fighting like, Undertaker, Kane. Shit. If not for the hands, and I know you probably got those, bro. Like, you have all type of hieroglyphics that is just like tattooed on your face. You're talking about you'll put baby oil on people. You'll try them. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's the reason why I didn't want to fight Saucy Santana. The moment he said, I'm going to knock you out and fuck you like this, I was like, yo, I got to shoot you. Like, what are we talking about? We're not going to schedule a fight. Like, I got to schedule your death. That's it. It is what it is. So Blueface is kind of bullying people. I don't think nobody wants to fight him. However, the situation quickly escalated from yesterday with them kind of going back and forth to Blueface now immediately saying, let's squabble up. Now, it started here, if you guys don't remember. Here we go.
100% honest.
Okay.
Why do you diss you?
Chat.
Don't you have a song?
Chat. Yeah, I made that career, but it's all good. You know how it go. Idols,
Why do he diss you? What did he say?
Chat. I know he did not just say Sue. Yeah, play it back.
Okay.
He ain't never been entered. What that mean? I ain't never been entered. He ain't never been entered.
Blueface says, I can't beef with no man who's getting his booty ate. Somebody get the baby oil, okay?
Yeah, y'all talking about Chop having an identity crisis. Man, have y'all seen this duck nigga
Now, NLE Choppa said that Blueface is going through identity crisis.
face? What the f***? He's got every brand in the world on his motherfucking face. Cause you wake up every day, you want to learn how to be the best gang banger. You pitiful, sir. You feel me? Mr. Butt Down Tatiana, Mr. That's the shit I can think of. It ain't that many of them. Man, you f***ed up, dog. You wake up every day, can't.
It's something about how he was talking here. I was like, I feel like he's putting on an accent. But maybe that's how Memphis niggas talk. I felt like he was putting on an accent, though.
You don't even prioritize nothing bigger than some shit that ain't gave you nothing positive in life. Man, what you want to be respected? You wake up every day trying to be something you truly not. You the one really having an identity, bro. When I wake up, I thank God, bro. I put so much stuff before a rag, bro. As you supposed to. But you was a bitch. You waking up, you trying to be the best one, the most locked out, and it's just you y'all talking about Choppa.
You got 24 hours, fool, to agree or disagree or shut the fuck up. That's all I know how to do is take it there. School crip, bro. Like, what are we doing, bro? That's all I know. I know I could argue with
Blueface, he clearly wants a rap battle, brother.
all day long, but what? Yeah, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not you. Yeah. Squabble up. We can figure this out real fast.
Yo, am I the only one that still says, yo, why the hell did Blueface do that to his face, bro? Yo, who convinced him to do this to his face, bro? Like, I'm literally, honestly, like, I don't know.
Let's figure it out, Chop. What we doing, man? We got 24 hours. Everybody get on that, bro. You taking the fade or not? If not, shut the up. You got 24
Interesting, huh?
Hey, DLE Choppa, bro. Check it out, fool.
TLE Choppa.
I'm not finna do too much lip boxing with the booty bandit. Like you're getting your ass ate as a man. What the fuck position are you in physically as a man for a woman to lick your ass, brother? I can't think of one position you could be in
Somebody says his face looked like a Chipotle bag. Jesus.
for a woman to lick your ass as a man. That's not hella gay. That's just me. Feel me? But anyways, like, bro, we squabbling up or not, fool? I'm not finna be lip boxing with you, fool. I don't know how to make a rapper beefy. I don't know how to make a diss tracky every weeky. Back and forthy.
Okay. So Blueface said that, and of course, NLE Choppa finally responded to the fade request, and he actually turned it down, which I think is smart. Blueface is being a bully. Like, why? Like, forget all that save your manhood shit in front of the public. You know this guy's gonna pulverize you, right? You're like, I mean, sometimes you just gotta be realistic. You know, like, put it like this: if Lil Baby looked like Blueface, and I thought he could fight like Blueface, and I didn't think he was like 100% pure USDA bitch, I would have challenged him to a spelling bee, 100%. Let's do a reading competition, okay? Let's let's see who could win an escape room quicker, right? Whatever, right? Yeah, I wouldn't be challenging him to no fucking fight. Like, of course. Like, when niggas, I like when people be like, yo, you're just picking on Lil Baby. And I'm like, if a gangster rapper should be scared of me, he's pussy. This is why we got to stop saying some of these guys are gangster. You know what I mean?
Blueface, I'm gonna decline your offer.
Ooh.
With a way better proposition for you. You feel me? Cause we know.
Why is he talking like that? Talking like an evil villain. What's the temperature in Memphis? CNG Deuce, yo, thank you for the gifted.
You owe $23 million to that club, for one. And you owe another $100,000 to Soulja Boy, baby mama. So your goal is to give me the fight you to help pay off your debt. Okay, cool. I understand that, right? So that's my reason to not fight you. Because I ain't finna help you pay your debt, but I got a better proposition for you. How about this?
Okay.
Take your son and stand him beside my son, and let's see which one of them know how to operate. Let's see, hey, hold your son beside my son. Let's see which one of them can hold their head up.
Is he talking about Charles Barkley Jr.? No. Yo, fortunately, y'all, Blueface and Krishan Rock smoking Black and Miles and drinking Hennessy will always plague them because, you know, and the kid is innocent in this, but, you know, you got to call a spade a spade. The sins of the father, you know, always get paid for, you know, by the son. And if you don't want to fight Blueface, you don't want to, like, go toe-to-toe with him, you're going to remind him that, hey, look at your son, which is kind of sad, but I guess Blueface created the situation.
Huh? How about that? Yeah. Put your son beside my son. Let's see them bark. Let's see them slap barks. Huh?
Oh, shit.
Put your son beside my son. Let's see who can hold their fingers up to their nose. Blueface.
Now I'm gonna be honest with you, and I know Blueface is not gonna admit it, but I personally think Blueface and Krishan Rock, they feel extremely guilty. Their actions, being so reckless, has not only put their son into this position where when people want to get at them, they're gonna try to also get at, you know, possibly their son's disabilities, but it's no one else to be blamed but Blueface and Krishan. And I know we've been saying it's Krishan, but there's episodes of the Zeus show where Krishan is literally pregnant. Blueface is right there and they're smoking together. They're hotboxing the kid. So Blueface was he was complicit in terms of maybe whatever disabilities or or whatever that turned out to be from the kid's whatever physical impairments that came from the kid being born of maybe whatever condition. I don't want to confirm anything, but it looks like maybe something's up, right?
Hey, I'm gonna decline your offer.
Okay.
What about that? Yeah, Charles Barkley, put your hand up.
Yo, where did you get the Charles Barkley reference from? Yo, Blueface, I'm going to be honest with you. And this is why I think they should keep their child off the internet. And I know some people are going to say this guy's going low. Well, part of their interaction is some low shit. This isn't like, oh, we got respect for each other. This is some low shit already. Blue, because I'm a top tier troll, I'm telling you what niggas is going to do. And this is why you might, this is what niggas is going to do. The next time you beef with a nigga, he gonna be talking over this intro right here. Look, chat. No. What the fuck? Nope. Oh my God, I can't find it. What's the TNT, like, what's it called? NBC on TNT, the theme song? Wait. Oh yeah, right.
Take a step, Charles. Yeah, what's up with your son? From me in the streets. Y'all keep playing with me, I ain't playing. You think this funny games and entertainment? I'm dead serious, nigga. Put your son beside my son. Put little Charles Barkley beside Chosen and Icon. Yeah, nigga. Your priority, look, go worry about little crook. Yeah, nigga. Yeah, I'm out of pocket, ain't I? Playing with me, boy. I'm out of pocket, man. Yeah, I'm too out of pocket. Handle me the right way, homie. About helping you pay your debt. Oh, $23 million to Las Vegas. Cause you, man, you, come on, cuz. You did some pee on. Now you gotta pay for it. You trying to box me to help your debt. I'm bread it up. Stand your son beside my son.
All right, NLE, could Ernie get in? Yo, Ernie, hop up in here. Ernie. Let me stop.
Pay that $100,000. What about that? Yeah, Charles Barkley, put your hand up. Take a step, Charles. Yeah, what's up with your son? I'm in the streets. Y'all keep playing with me. I gotta catch you a little. Man, catch you a little slow. Catch you a little slow. Dutch from me.
Wait, what? Okay, all right. I know I was saying there's no too far, but that might be too far. Was that too far? Get this man some chapstick, pause.
10 in your stand up. You worry about the wrong. You on Twitch playing. Having a financial crisis. Did it crisis. You want to come at me every day because you need somebody to entertain you so you get some money on. You will never pay it back. Show me $23 million right now. Show me $23 million. Yeah, show me that. Talking about some boxing. Talking about some DLE. Yeah, but show me $23 million. Cause you stupid. Yeah, show me that. Yeah, man. And I heard them eating your ass. I heard even worse about you. I catch you a little. Man, catch you a little slow.
Well, damn. Well, Blueface was taking a nap. You know, he got to give the tattoo some rest. And he was a little bit less animated, but he responded.
Well, I guess he turned it down, y'all. Turning down faith publicly is crazy. But I don't know what to do after this point, y'all. This is where I exit at. I'm gonna start talking about all type of other random shit that ain't got to do with shit.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I do notice this is a sore spot for Blueface. I've realized he's never addressed it. He's never even said, "Man, eat a dick, nigga. My kid is fine." You know, and I think once you mention this, all that homies, that shit go out the window. He's a little bit more calm. I know he's acting like he's sleeping, but that's how shit is though. When niggas find a weak spot, that's what I'm saying. There's gonna be mad jokes.
So, thank you guys for your time. Eat it. Well.
Yeah. Let's see. Have either or responded since? I know Blueface is on Twitch. Blueface Twitch. Has he responded again? This ain't him, man. It's not his page. Blueface Twitch. Does he stream on Twitch? Why can't I find it? What the fuck is this? Who the fuck is these people? What's his new Twitch channel? All right, I can't find him. All right. Let me just search Blueface. I wanted to see if he responded, but it looked like he didn't. Oh, it's House of Blues? Oh, he's on right now.
Wingstop lemon pepper all flats.
Is this Blueface's page?
Lemon pepper
No, it's not.
Tastes so good.
Wingstop lemon pepper.
Okay, it's not. I think Blueface fucked up by like not fighting a rapper first. Niggas done seen enough with Blueface. Nobody gonna get in the ring with you. All right. I think we're good. All right. It appears that this Nicki Minaj interview is kind of out. By the way, I do know y'all want to talk a little bit more about the Epstein files and such forth, but let's just kind of look at this Nicki Minaj interview. Actually, no. Before we do that, here it is. Before we do that, let me
politics and
stop. Let me go watch Cameron commented on him suing J. Cole. If you don't know, the news came out that Cameron, J. Cole, there's a lawsuit, and apparently J. Cole is defending himself, and he actually got Drake's lawyers. Now, I don't know if Drake gave a recommendation, but you know, he got Drake's lawyers to defend the lawsuit that Cam hit them with. Now, Cam hit Universal Music Group with a lawsuit last October, and it was over their Ready 24 collab. Let me hear a little bit more about the lawsuits. Now, Cam first sued Cole and Universal in 2025. He alleges he's owed about $500,000 in royalties from Ready 24, which is a collab from the Might Delete Later rapper. And he says he has not gotten paid. According to the exclusive, shout out to Grouchy Greg. He's a guy, I know him from All Hip Hop. I used to post on All Hip Hop forums. It's called the IC back in the day. He says he was hit with a lien from a photographer for copyright infringement. For those unaware, Killer Cam has to pay a $50,000 judgment for failing to license a picture of himself he used for his new merchandise. As such, any potential payment that he would get from a hypothetical victorious lawsuit against Cole would have to first cover this judgment, unless okay, whatever. Interesting. Let's see. I want to read a little bit more about the lawsuit. In the filing, Cam reveals that him and Cole worked on a song back in 2022, remained in touch over the next 2 years. As Cam continually asked if he could appear on the podcast, Cole claimed to be unavailable. In turn, Cam is arguing that he was never properly compensated for his Ready 24 work and wants the judge to weigh in on the matter. He hopes to be named a co-author in the song to recoup his alleged losses through money the track has made. At the time of the publishing, Cole isn't responded yet. Okay. So it's okay. So I kind of get it, right? I kind of get it. It looks like J. Cole drops a record with Cam on Might Delete Later, and Cam probably, he clears it in the sense of he's not going to take it down, but he doesn't get properly compensated. And Cam, who's not really an active rapper, like full time, probably says, yo, bro, I'll do a verse for you, but I want you to, I'm not going to charge you a fee, but I want you to come and be on my podcast, which would be a big look because J. Cole rarely does public appearances. Now, we all know what it is with rappers. I've been promised interviews forever. These guys are habitual liars. And Cam probably knows it himself because he probably has promised people interviews and never came through on it. And I think he probably realized that after like 2 years, and he's probably realizing J. Cole is punking him. He's bitching him. J. Cole is like, sent him on a dummy mission. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think in any other rapper, Cameron doesn't sue. Cameron probably tries to amicably deal with the situation. But J. Cole is getting bitched by Kendrick, by Drake, by everybody that's his peers. Like the guy who's getting punked by everybody, you're not going to allow punk you. And I think that's the thing. It's going to always remain with J. Cole. Like J. Cole apologized to Kendrick Lamar before Kendrick even breathed. Like before Kendrick could even, exhale, he apologized. He dropped a diss and apologized, and you get to realize J. Cole he's like the definition of like a beta male. Like, the person who, not necessarily, let me not use necessarily beta male, but you can't have that guy finessing you. You know what I mean? Like you feel a way. You feel a different type of way. So I could imagine he's like asking Cole, like, yo, Cole, when you come into the pod, Cole's like, yo, right now I'm riding bicycles through Tribeca. Okay? I can't do it. Yo, Cole, when you come into the pod, bro, yo, I'm about to go play. I'm the 14th man on the Ghanaian basketball team. Okay. Yo, Cole, when you come into the pod, bro, yo, bro, I got to go hold up some picket signs with that loser, my son, and we got to march for some Black Lives Matter thing. What? It's 2025. What are you talking about? You got to march. Whatever, cool. And I think Cam gets to the point of saying, yo, this guy's like, he's like treating me like I'm a bum. He's treating me like how Kendrick treated him. You ain't going to do that to a Harlem nigga. And I think that's what would probably happen. Now, Cam supposedly spoke on this recently. I want to hear what Cam said. I haven't listened to this before. Cameron J. Cole, but he spoke in his own words. Here we go. Where we go with it? Where we go? All right, man.
Jay, what's up? How you doing today?
Good.
You all right?
Okay.
Horse.
Wait, Cam was at Complex Con? Oh. Wait, yeah, he was at Complex Con. Oh, that's from way back. I thought recently Cam spoke about the whole thing. Let's see. Cameron J. Cole. I'll find the clip better or quicker on Twitter. Here we go.
Cool, or was. Me and J. Cole are cool, or was cool. This is exactly what happened. Being a man is keeping your word. And I know everybody.
Facts.
He's busy and everybody has things to do. But if I give you my word 4 or 5 times, I got to do it. So on his first project he did, I did an intro for him. I did the record for him for his intro. I told him I may need a verse whenever I get a project done. He said, cool. He had another project. I did a record in 20 minutes. I knocked that shit out and went off about my business. I need a verse. I'm exaggerating, but he's like the shock rain right now. And, the moon got aligned with the stars. And, when I write, I put my all into it. Okay, let's put your all into it then. You know what I'm saying? Give me that verse. You called me twice to do something, and I did it. One day you have 48 hours to do it. Then I knocked the other thing out as soon as I came to New York.
Yeah, one-sided relationships, after a while, you kind of get upset by it. Because you'll have these friends or associates, and they'll ask you for something, you jump through hoops for them, right? Like, you'll instantly, like, they ask you to do something, you do it immediately. Within 10 minutes, within a day, within a week. And this way, you know, you're in a one-sided friendship. You may ask that person for something and they don't say no. They're just like, hey, listen, yo, I'm going to get to it. And you don't want to be like this needy bitch, right? Like that's a guy thing. You don't want to be this needy bitch. Be like, oh, did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? When are you going to do it? When are you gonna... So you kind of let them, you know, you kind of think that just out of integrity and being a stand-up individual, you're going to remember like, hey, you made me a promise, right? Remember when y'all were getting on me when I told y'all, I said, hey, listen, Dirk had reached out to me and Dirk says, or he said on some platform, he says, I owe academics an interview, right? And a lot of people like, nah, he was just trying to get you on his side because like he's going at it with young boy. He needs your support, da. And I say, you know what? It's going to tell me a lot about Dirk because he gives me his word he's going to do the podcast. Lil Durk then does a podcast that really becomes infamous with Gillian Wallow before he does a podcast or does an interview with me. And a lot of people say, yo, Act, see, he snaked you. See, he told you he was going to do it. He didn't do it. That guy's a liar. You jumped through hoops for him. And remember the relationship with me and Dirk. Dirk called me up. I believe it was like in 2015 or 2016. He had just got dropped from Def Jam. And he said, and I was streaming, not that much audience, but I was streaming at the time. And he says, Act, yo, you know, I need some promo. Listen, I see you doing the streaming stuff. Yo, I'm down to get on there and we could play 2K. Just have my album play in the background. I want people to know about it. And I said, come on, of course, let's do it. And I supported him not only through the War in Chirac era, but like even afterwards when there was this weird era where he was dropped. So when he said, hey, listen, Act, you know, I'm going to do something with you, I'm thinking based on our history, he's going to be a man of his word. Or if he's not, he's going to tell me everything I need to know about him as a man. You see in this game, you have to judge people as men. Y'all going to say I'm sound like a broken record, but no, this is why, you know, I look at Lil Baby like he's scum and I talk about him like that because he wasn't a man. He could have said academics, I'm not happy with you. We're not cool. Let's not act like, you know, hey, Act, yo twin. Don't twin me to death and then do some snake shit, right? Just like, you know, Dirk. Dirk gives me a verbal promise. I'm gonna do an interview with you, bro. So he goes to do the interview with Gillian Wallow, and a lot of y'all, my audience, specifically chat niggas, was like, yo, Act, yo, this guy lied to you. And I say, you know what? For some reason, I don't think Dirk is like these other industry suckers. I think if he says something, he's gonna do something. And I could tell he was even cognizant of the conversation that was being had because he would hit me offline and say, yo, Act, yo, don't worry, I still got you. Now, some people would have blew up at that point and said, fuck you, nigga. Like, you're hitting me on the low trying to still make sure I'm good, but you lied to me. But for whatever reason, Dirk comes across different from these other suckers, even like Lil Baby. I knew he was going to come through. He hit me up afterwards and he says, Ack, I want to do this elaborated interview. And I said, I want to do it. I want it to be raw. You know what to ask, and I want you to ask everything. Whatever you're thinking, ask it. He didn't tell me one thing to ask. And I always told you about the interview, the reason why it's Dirk's best interview. We cut the interview 3 times. So we end the interview, and like, you know, like 2 minutes after, like some conversation, be like, oh shit, I didn't ask you about that. And Dirk said, we still sitting here, you could turn that shit back on. So he gave me every opportunity to ask every fucking question I wanted. He not only lived up to his word, he lived up to his word of giving me the shit. Pause. That's something is admirable. That's one thing that no matter what happens with Dirk, I will always speak of him as a man that I've known with integrity. Not a low-down scum. Not a backstabbing loser. Not a one-sided using parasitic bloodsucker leech. Someone who, if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And that matters a lot in my book. Anyway, I know I went on this little tangent. I'll let Cam play uninterrupted.
Me and J. Cole are cool, or was cool. This is exactly what happens. Being a man is keeping your word. And I know everybody's busy and everybody has things to do. But if I give you my word 4 or 5 times, I got to do it. So on his first project he did, I did an intro for him. I did the record for him for his intro. I told him I may need a verse whenever I get a project done. He said, cool. He had another project. I did a record in 20 minutes. I knocked that shit out and went off about my business. I need a verse. I'm exaggerating, but he's like, the shock rain right now, and the moon got aligned with the stars, and when I write, I put my all into it. Okay, let's put your all into it then. You know what I'm saying?
Give me that.
You called me twice to do something, and I did it. One day you have 48 hours to do it. Then I knocked the other thing out as soon as I came to New York, because you ain't want to send me a record, you want to be in the studio with me. I knocked it out. Cool, you don't give me the record. Then I say, you know what, forget the record. Let's do an interview. That I got you. I got a project coming out in June. Let's do it around there. Cool, June is coming. Oh, we pushed the album back. I don't want to just do an interview. All right, cool.
He's playing with you, Cam. He's playing with you. And I can see how, if you know anything about Cam's personality, he's not the guy you string along with fake promises and false hopes.
We're going to do it in October. All right, I'll call you back in October. Yo, what's up? Oh, man, Killer, you say I tell you October, you call October, huh, nigga?
Yeah, I put it in my calendar. Call him in October. He says, I'll give you the interview in October. I'm here in October.
Yeah, nigga. Yeah. So now this is when all the beef is going on with Kendrick Lamar. I can't do it now because I don't feel like talking about that right now. I said, look, I'll do the interview. I won't even bring that up. He says, nah, I can't do no interview and not talk about it. All right, well, when can I get the interview? Yo, February, definite. February, I'm dead ass on February. February come. Yo, what's up? Oh, shit.
Yo, Cam is on point. Cam like 50 with collecting money. Yo, you know them nigga be like, yo, I got you next week. What day next week? Wednesday. And you think the nigga gonna forget about next week Wednesday? Next week Wednesday, bright and early, 8 o'clock, the nigga in the text. Yo, what up, bro? He said, yo, what's good? Yo, what's up with the money? Damn, dog. You really punctual? Yeah, I'm punctual.
Yo, I'm still working, man.
I hear you, Cam. I hear you, Cam. This is what he said back in the day about it.
You on J. Cole? Because I got questions about that. Okay. Well, J. Cole, that's the prodigal son from North Carolina. Why are you suing J. Cole, my nigga? He don't bother nobody. All right, you don't want to answer. Okay. All right, but we'll just answer this. He's on his way of being a rap legend. That don't make you just want to be like, nah, you know what? Let bygones be bygones, or whatever the case may be. TMZ is right. You suing him?
I think J. Cole is definitely gonna be a rap legend. 100%, definitely.
You don't get a pass? All right, man.
Shout out to Killer, man. Killer's the best. Cameron is one of those people, like, I told you I watched his whole podcast at ComplexCon, and I got in line. I really wanted to say hi to Cam, and shout out to Mace. I love Mace too, but like, yo, let me tell you this. There's nothing cooler than Cameron to me, bro. There's nothing cool. I thought Cam watched Jay-Z in the battle. You know what I mean? Yo, you gotta love it. That's my joint. Like, Killer is one of like the most prolific lyricists of all time. I love Killer Cam. This is why, like, in his media space, remember when I was going back and forth with their female co-hosts? I'm like, yo, I know I can't be bitch made in this shit because I gotta give out equal smoke, but I cannot go against Killer. I love Killer, like, literally. Other than that, oh, you know who also I love? Well, my favorite basketball player of all time is Allen Iverson. And I remember when I first saw him, like, yo, I was so pussy. I was at ComplexCon, and my brother was just like, because I was just like, I'm in the green room, I'm like, and he was just like, go get a picture. And like, he kept like pushing me, like, it's your brother, so it's like, go get it. I'm like, nigga, I was so scared. I got a picture with him though. I love Allen Iverson. And I go to the Knicks game like a couple days ago, and motherfucking T-Mac, nigga, T-Mac taps Vince Carter on the shoulder and be like, yo, that's Ack. And I kind of froze him. I'm like, Tracy McGrady knows me? Oh, it's lit. Yo, like I was like walking another way, so I told him, yo, I'm gonna hit you. I DM him mad quick off my main page. He responds. He sends me his number. We fucking talk on the phone. Yo, he's like, yo, I be in New York, like, you know, he's like, yo, act. Yo, we should like get dinner and shit like that, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, like, yo, I fuck with your movement, whatever. And I'm like, yo, bro, I'm the biggest fan of yours. So, yeah, me and T-Mac, like, we locked in now. Yo, that's my guy, T-Mac. T-Mac's a real nigga. Yo, I grew up on these people. Like, the whole time he's talking to me, he's like, yo, bro, your ass be funny, man. Like, and like, I'm like, yo, I'm actually having like a one-on-one. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I really get like starstruck. But I'll say Killer, definitely Allen Iverson. And T-Mac, I was just like the whole time, like T-Mac is talking, I'm like, I grew up watching you. Like, I'm sorry, bro. I never met Kobe. Rest in peace. I wish I did. I probably would be the same thing with Kobe. Yeah. Name some people you would be like genuinely star. Like, you got to remember, like, bro, I was like a little stupid kid watching T-Mac. Like, bro, I'm a little stupid kid. Like, it's no way ever I think that T-Mac would be able to see me and be like, that's so-and-so. You know what I mean? Nas? Somebody said fanboy? Of course. Like, I don't care about what? I think I might have hugged. I didn't even go for the dap with Iverson. I think I just hugged him. I don't care. I'm a fanboy of Allen Iverson. When I was a kid, and remember I just came over here like 2000, 2001, he was the underdog. Remember the Lakers was winning all the time. So I'm now a 76ers fan, really an Allen Iverson fan. I would watch Allen Iverson play every chance I get. I cried. I ain't gonna lie. I used to cry when he lost. Like, I used to like cry as a kid. I was just like, you lost? Not realizing, obviously, when you get older, like, you realize, like, yo, these NBA players are getting millions, mad bitches. Like, bro, yeah. He always put his heart in the game, but, like, I'm pretty sure he wasn't fucking crying or, like, that sad after he lost the game, right? Like, you know, he's probably like, this ugly motherfucker Dikembe Mutombo could have grabbed 4 more rebounds. I'm good. Let's hit the club, guys. But as a kid, like, Iverson was my fucking hero. Oh. Anyway, I love Iverson. Oh, speaking of which this is the harshest critique I've ever had to give. And I hope, you know, this is a good segue, because when you see me compare this person to Iverson, I don't play about Iverson. I love Allen Iverson way more than Michael Jordan, way more than Kobe, way more than LeBron, way more than all these niggas. Allen Iverson was my guy and still is my guy to this day. Now, it's taken a lot of maturation and growth, and, you know, I'm a logical person, I always say. So now I could, like, you know, have these conversations of his greatness, but, like, there was a part of my childhood, and, you know, up until a certain point, I was like, Allen Iverson's the greatest player of all time. I don't care what none of y'all say. There was this one clip, and I can't find it ever, but, like, they had asked Shaq who the top 5 players to him are, and he had named Allen Iverson. I remember I kept holding on to them. I'm like, yes, people believe it like me. I would argue with people like Allen Iverson's the best player ever. I'm just an Allen Iverson fan, a little bit delusional, but yes, after a while, I got to understand, like, certain things that would be necessary for you to call someone the best player. He lacks, like, for example, a championship, right? I will say this, though. And this is why, you know, when people hear me make this comparison, and as I go into this next story, they think I'm dissing, but I'm not. I'm telling you, as a kid, I used to cry when Allen Iverson lost the game. He was my hero. He was my favorite player. I still think he's one of the best ever. Over time, though, especially with the Kobes, with the, you know, Steph Currys, and even the LeBrons, you know, my perspective of how basketball and them as players, like, matured. Like, even think about Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, a really good player, but at the end of the day, I don't think he had a ring, right? Am I right about that? He never had a championship ring. Because of that, he's looked at as very different. Same with Allen Iverson. He gets left out of conversations, and I think he would have been in if he had won 2 or 3 rings. Because you get to realize after you leave that fan stage and you grow up and you could sit back and analyze, or maybe that player stops playing, some other things matter. And even though Allen Iverson's so known for the crossover and other things, I definitely do agree his legacy and his, you know, how I viewed him in terms of being, like, I think it's crazy that if people are talking about the top shooting guards of all time, he's not, like, I think to me, he's better than D Wade. Right? I think it's Mike, Kobe, Iverson. And yes, I consider him a shooting guard, not a point guard, even though some people would say he should be in the point guard list. But regardless, he would be top 5 in both categories, in my opinion. Obviously, when people then talk about it, you might even look at me as nuts and say, are you crazy, bro? Like, yeah, he's good. He's really influential, crossover, cornrows, how he dressed, got you. But he never won. And I hate to go through the segue. Hopefully it's not that harsh as it's kind of perceivably seeming right now. But that's kind of how I'm thinking about Lil Wayne. I've made this comparison multiple times. And the only reason I spoke on my love for Allen Iverson is because I'm not disrespecting. I love Allen Iverson. But I understand how people view him and his legacy in post because they use certain things to almost rate people's accomplishments. And a ring is one of them. You know, I posted this and I felt it was a really sad post. When I posted it, I said, this is epitomizing exactly what I thought. Lil Wayne posted up after the Grammys, congrats to the nominees and the winners. I wasn't included as usual. I got to work harder. One time for my slime Bill Belly. And I got to be honest with you. This is going back to what I said. People didn't like when I said it. I had a potential interview with Wayne. I think it got canceled. I never got the official reason why. But this was after I said that I didn't think Carter 3 was necessarily a classic. You know, obviously it's definitely a prolific album. And I think I may change my opinion on that, but it was back then I said it. And really I was comparing him to his peers. I was comparing him to the GOATs. Like, you know, when we think about the GOATs, whether it's Biggie, whether there's Life After Death, whether it's Jay-Z, in terms of, what do you call it again? Reasonable Doubt. Yes, many. The Blueprint, a few others. Whether it's Nas, if we're talking about Illmatic, whoever we consider to be some of the greatest rappers of our time, they had these quintessential classics. Now, obviously, things has changed because we get to the Drakes and, you know, you get more of a mixed bag in terms of people might saying, you know, at a time, I think people didn't accept that Take Care was a classic. I think now it is. But the point what I'm trying to make is that I've always felt like Lil Wayne's career is like Allen Iverson. Why? Because his accolades has never came on what we all judge the greats for. If we're talking about Kendrick Lamar, we think about how many classics does he have, these bona fide like best albums or possible best albums of all time. We think about Good Kid, Mad City. To Pimp a Butterfly, I've always said is remarkable and spectacular if we're just judging from a critic point of view. Obviously, there's Damn, a commercially successful and viable album. And of course, you know, some people might even credit his other works like Untitled or perhaps even GNX. Or what was the other one called? Big Step. I think that's kind of mid, but whatever. When we think about J. Cole, we think about 2014 Forest Hills Drive, but some people might also include some of these other things. And I thought that Wayne, his legacy will not bode well when people retell the history of hip-hop because the majority of his success came via features and came on the mixtape circuit. A circuit that's become antiquated. Yes, it's remembered. It is heralded to a certain extent, but as time changes, people change. Like, for example, the average person who watches LeBron James now probably never watched Michael Jordan play. Who is the best becomes what you see, not what actually happened, and you forget moments if they're not memorialized right. Jay-Z, even though, you know, he did his thing on mixtapes, obviously there were group mixtapes, you know, he had Rockefeller, this and third. He memorialized his career really well with an amazing catalog. He dropped an album per year. If you think about it, when we got to the Black Album, Jay-Z had dropped an album per year up until then. I think he might have missed one. His catalog and his legacy is memorialized by that. Even 50 Cent, one of the guys who pioneered the idea and the thought of these mixtape circuits, because G-Unit, you know, 50 was really nasty on that mixtape scene as well. We could think about like his actual albums and they were commercially viable, dominant, and even classic, especially if we think about Get Rich or Die Trying. The Massacre followed up Beg for Mercy, which was a group album. He worked on the Game's documentary album, giving him 6 songs. Basically, 50 Cent, his career is memorialized not only by his help with the other artists signed in G Unit, but also his mainstream commercial albums lasted the test of time. I've always critiqued Lil Wayne to say, the thing about Wayne is that we're going to look back at his career and it's going to be a if you know type of thing rather than being objective. You don't need to. I wasn't around in 96. Some of you guys may have not been around for the Blueprint. You know, if you ask a New Yorker, they're like, you had to be there, man. He dropped the album on the same day as 9/11 and blah, 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 blah. And that's a personal anecdotal story of how Jay's album is. But you didn't have to be there to still understand Jay-Z's greatness or prolificness as an artist. Unfortunately, the mixtape scene that is kind of still not even, fully integrated with the DSP systems, there lies a lot of Wayne's greatness. If I bring up a track that might be on one of the leaks that were unauthorized at the time, or maybe even one of his mixtape tracks where he was remixing another person's track, it might be difficult to find. You might find an old YouTube link, but it's not that known or heralded. What does it mean? It means if you know, you know. If you lived through that era and you were into hip hop, some other people like to say you're outside. You would be like, no, there was nothing moving beyond Wayne. Everybody wanted to be Wayne. From the tattoos to the hairstyle to the raps, people wanted to be him. And you would be right. But as time goes on, and everybody finds their own GOATs, and everybody finds their own moments, and they have their own people that represent their era, when they look back at past eras, Lil Wayne's legacy I've never thought aged well. And I'm not saying it to disrespect because I'm comparing him to my GOAT, Allen Iverson. When I watched Allen Iverson play, it was a spectacle. Every time he tried to go up to the hoop, spectacle. Every time it was a layup, he was doing some acrobatic shit. He was knocked to the ground by somebody like Shaq was 700 pounds, knocking him to the ground. I would still see him get up, shake it off, go to the free throw line. It was an and one. He hit a free throw, go back. He didn't play much defense, but that boy, he would get the ball. He crossed niggas up. He had that little swag about him. That guy gave it his all. When I watch Allen Iverson play, I honestly, even now watching Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, watching LeBron James, watching anybody, and watching whoever you could say are really dominant, prolific players, Allen Iverson was him. But I watched it. I watched the D-Wades. I watched all those people. But whether it's stats, these days it's all about efficiency, this and third. Gone are the days that we had those basketball players who were volume shooters. Y'all remember that? Niggas would shoot 11 for 30, but he shoot 11 for 30, still get 32 points, and the team would win. It wasn't all about efficiency. Oh, you only shoot from this side of the court at this time because your percentage is this. Hey, we're running all this. It was a bunch of hand checking. It's a hard, tough play. Percentages was different. These days, as a basketball player, if you're not shooting over 45%, you're probably struggling. At that time, it was a little bit different. As long as you're shooting 40%, you're good. 3-point percentages these days are looked at. You need to be shooting way better. If you put a mid shooter now back in the early 2000s, that nigga might have been, who knows, Peja Stojakovic. Not saying necessarily him. He was a great shooter, though. Point what I'm trying to say is that Michael Jordan stats, even, it's been 30 years since 1996. His stats still compare with the current guys. 6 championships, never lost in the finals. He, shot a very high percentage. Everything is comparable. You go to Allen Iverson, he's not shooting that well. When you watched it and you lived it, you knew how good it was. But on paper, no championships. You see the stats, it's hard to make the point. I'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who's a huge basketball fan that's in their 30s, I would believe at this point, or maybe even 40s, that if you were going to say and sum up the Allen Iverson era, you wouldn't say this guy was one of the best. However, when we think about it, he often gets forgotten. He gets brought up on the cultural aspect of, he changed style, fashion. The NBA started forcing niggas to wear suits because of him. But 100%, when we think about just play and what it's turned into, he gets left out of the conversation sometimes. Other than for the reasons I mentioned. Style, crossover, this and third, cultural impact. And that becomes sad. That's where we're at with Wayne, chat. That's my critique about Wayne. Wayne, in his 40s, is still asking for recognition from the Grammys. Wayne hasn't turned to a mogul. All your plays on the field or within the sport, whether it's between the lines or not between the lines, they matter. Wayne is no mogul. Respectfully. He had Young Money, antiquated. We don't kind of look at him like some guy who, look at Jay-Z. He had a Rockefeller. He sells that. Gets Rock Nation. He leverages all his position, his cultural currency and other things of what he worked for. He's one of the most powerful people in music. Even Nas. I think Nas has done a lot in the business sense to kind of keep his legacy alive, to make sure people realize that, his dominance from his era, he was able to parlay into other things. Wayne, not so much. So not only does his catalog not sit as the best, because a lot of it becomes lost as time goes on, and it's not on DSPs. And if it's like when I keep saying with Iverson, if you know, you know. If you were there, you know. You get Wayne, who's now in his 40s. Jay-Z's sitting back. Wayne was supposed to be the guy. Remember, Wayne confidently said, "Well, if he's Mike, I'm LeBron," or it was some reference of like that, or like Mike or Kobe or something like that. I'm the younger GOAT. Well, when we look at the stats in totality, do we really compare Lil Wayne to Jay-Z? This is why people might scoff at, yes, does he deserve in terms of if you were there, to perform in New Orleans for the, or Louisiana actually, for the NFL Super Bowl halftime show? Yeah. Does he match up with everybody else? No. And watching him tweet this out, I was just it was a little bit of sadness, because I believe the legacy of Wayne for the younger folks that are coming up, he might get the, my favorite rapper was inspired by that rapper that was then inspired by Wayne. Cool. You get the family tree effect, but you really don't get the true appreciation like these other guys get. Think about Jay-Z. They sucked Jay-Z off. They sucked the skin off his penis. I don't even think Beyonce got a check in the game. Wayne, if you ask me, his run from 2006 to 2010/11 is one of the best runs. But I feel like it's not mentioned enough. And I'll leave it there. I'm not a hater of Wayne. I compare him to my favorite player. But I don't think his legacy has aged that well. And when I seen this tweet, this was a reminder. If Jay-Z had said this, I got to still work harder, we'd be like, what the fuck? Now, granted, Jay-Z did say, he kind of scolded the awards for not awarding Beyonce, and then the next year they came around and gave Beyonce a bunch of awards. Makeup call. You know how they go. But what do y'all think about my Wayne take? I just don't think his legacy's aged well for the people that weren't there. I understand. But I think a lot of people, or a lot of other people, are like, Okay. Anyway. Real quick, in the case of Meg Thee Stallion and Milagro Cooper, a judge has actually ordered Meg Thee Stallion to pay an outstanding court reporter invoices for trial transcripts they previously ordered. The unpaid bills total about $15,500, including a $14,662.78 invoice from December 2 and December 2nd, actually, and a $837.32 invoice from the 16th. The court has noted that the transcripts were prepared and delivered, and they're now ordering payment from Meg Thee Stallion's team by the 5th of February. This is another reminder that Meg Thee Stallion's a loser. She's a constant loser. And I hope that gumbo she keeps cooking for Klay Thompson, I hope we don't get that nigga sick anytime soon. Because if he leaves her, she'll be once again another loser again. You know, I really have no problem with Meg Thee Stallion, but Meg Thee Stallion career reminds us why she's a loser and an unrootable, like she's, you ever watch a movie or some type of thing and they're trying to make you root for one person, like they're trying to show this person, but there's something about them you're like, fuck this person. Fuck this person, you know? That's what Meg Thee Stallion is. I mean, what was I looking up? So, to put it in perspective, Meg Thee Stallion sues Milagro Cooper, spends approximately maybe even up to $2 million, but I think it's safe to say, let's say over $1 million, in trying to pursue this woman because she claimed this woman defamed her. According to Meg, it was bigger than Milagro Cooper. She wanted to show bloggers and people who were reporting irresponsibly and who were paid shills and also mouthpieces for another rapper, the one she called Tory Lanez. She said that she wanted to teach someone a lesson. So she spends $1 million in legal fees. She has court, court appointed or actually process servers actually, but even other people. I think a sheriff showed up to my house trying to serve based on what she had going on. She wanted to do depositions with Drake. She wanted to do it with Joe Budden. She wanted to do it with me. She wanted to do it with everybody. And it was basically trying to prove that Tory Lanez is the reason why people don't believe Meg is a liar. After a whopping, just to tell you how I got to that figure of, at least $1 million. Well, she hired the best and most reputable, or one of the most reputable firms in the state or in the United States. It's called Quinn Emanuel. It's one of the top 500 firms. It's very heavily heralded. It ironically is also Roc Nation's firm, even though they use like the bigger partners like Alex Spiro when they're doing their bidding. But nevertheless, the billing for a firm like that could be $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 an hour. Infamously, I told you they had me do 2 depositions. One was a 7-hour, teeth pulling session where I sat across about 7 of their attorneys virtually, and I dismantled their, false equivalencies and their false narratives step by step. I pegged that out into be, pause on pegged, at least $100,000 in lawyer fees for them. I went without a lawyer, but they wasted 7 hours of my time, which is worth something too. The point is this: they've spent over $1 million. If in a deposition of me, it took them like $100,000 to do, they sent a mariachi band at Aiden Ross's house. They probably spent, $50,000 on that. Not just that, but all the efforts to get him and question him, and then they supposedly seized some stuff from his phone. They had to go through that. There's a lot of man hours that's getting paid by Meg. So the idea was that it's to teach a lesson. It's the classic Cardi B, Tasha K syndrome. We got to teach you a lesson. You're running your mouth. You got to know what you say have consequences. So she sues mainly for defamation, but there's some other stuff, including a deepfake video that Milagro supposedly helped promote, which depicted Meg Thee Stallion in a uncompromising sex position. But it wasn't her, it was actually AI. This went to court eventually after about like a year and a half, and the courts and the jury decided that that Milagro is actually a member of the media, as we all are, independent or not, still a part of the media. And because of that, defamation or a defamation claim against her is null and void unless you send proper notice to give her time to remediate and possibly remove any possible defamatory statements, actions, or publications. Essentially, what am I saying? They spent $1 million for the judge to tell them, you should have never sued her for defamation. You should have sent a cease and desist. Embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
This is what it is. I was late with that one. So yeah, she spent $1 million, wasted it. But who knows? This is probably funded by Rock Nation. Jay-Z's bank account supposedly is infinite, so whatever. After spending $1 million, she was supposed to be awarded 70-something thousand. They chop off 16,000 off of it because they claim, hey, the defamation claim is null and void because you didn't send proper notice. What's left is that Milagro is held liable for promoting a deepfake pornographic image of Meg Thee Stallion, which is, you know, outside the realm of everybody. But the award was how much was it? Was $59,000. So she spent $1 million and was awarded $59,000. Now, I'm a betting man, but I do want to talk to some of my investors in here. If you invested $1 million, wasted a shit ton of your time for damn near almost 2 years, and they take your $1 million and they gave you $60,000, what do you call that? Nevertheless, that wasn't all. The courts then come and say, oh, we're owed money too. We're owed $15,500, and that, you know, they could push for it to be taken from the $59K, but they want payment immediately, which there's no clear notice that Milagro is even paid Meg Thee Stallion. So what am I saying? Meg Thee Stallion was one of the dumbest people in hip hop history, because she legitimately thought she could buy people to love her or believe her. When people say they believe you're a liar based on you lying before, she rejected it. She spent $1 million at least in legal fees just to be told. And this is the unfortunate thing about lawsuit happy people. Here's who got paid. The law firm got $1 million. The court at least is going to get $16,000. We don't even know if Milagro will actually send the check to Meg Thee Stallion for the supposed $59,000. So again, she just paid $1,015,500 at least, with not even a moral victory in this case. Meg Thee Stallion is what we call a nimwit, an absolute retard. If you wanted to waste $1 million, Meg, you could have hollered at Big Act. I could have spent it at the casino with Offset. Okay? Stupid shit, man. Let's keep it going. Drake has liked this picture, or this video, after news that came out about the current. So news came out about the Epstein documents, and Jay-Z's name is mentioned in there along with Pusha T. I'll be fair here and say that did come out via a unsubstantiated. It was a hotline tip. Pause. From a random person. But nevertheless, it was included because that's what happened when they set up a hotline. People are reminiscing back to Jay Prince telling Drake during the battle with him and Pusha T, don't release that song. According to Jay Prince, the song was more than just a rap diss song, and it could end careers and hurt families. We've always wondered what that song got to do with. What the fuck did Drake find out? Let's play the clip of, this is an old interview, but it talks about why Drake never dropped his diss song, responding to the story of Added On.
But over the weekend, you were trending because you said, paraphrasing, you said that you talked with Drake and you told him to no longer respond to Pusha T. Right? Because after Pusha put out the last joint that was
the story of
Added On, you feel like it crossed the line?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it crossed the line where music was concerned. You know what I mean? The disrespect for his mother, the disrespect for his father, for 40. You know what I mean? A man is dying. I know these people, so I felt that was totally disrespectful, and I couldn't. After even speaking with Kanye. You know what I mean? Because I spoke with the brother, and he didn't want this. You know what I mean? And I saw this going in a place that I feel would have ended his career if Drake would have put out the song that he had on him, and definitely would have hurt families, and you know what I mean. And we not in it for that. You know what I mean? That's not Drake character. I ain't. We not in business to tear our fellow man down. To that extent.
But over the weekend, you were trending.
Okay, so Drake liked this post, and it's now being alluded to by people who, was always wondering what the hell is in that song. I mean, I've always wondered. I wanted to know what the hell Drake said about this guy that was so crazy that, looked like outside forces probably encouraged him not to put it out. I've never really got, honestly, a real answer to that. And by the way, clearly they've kept this close to the chest. There's been so many things leaked. We have never gotten the leak of this. How come? From the people who have heard it, though, they've never gotten into details with me, but they've told me this is scathing. This would be bad. And that's as much as I've ever heard about it. But Drake liking this kind of brings up now a little bit and puts light to maybe Drake did know about what's being alleged of Pusha T and Jay-Z in this Epstein doc. Who knows? Who knows? Right? Now I kind of want to hear the song. And really, I want to hear the song, obviously the Pusha T and the Kendricks of the world, I think they have done well in battle. Not that they weren't lyricists or good rappers, but they have came with some narratives or storytelling or information or tea that has been so captivating that people, it kind of stops the conversation. So I'm wondering what the hell did Drake have? And I always thought that, this was a fatal flaw of Drake because he was drawing lines in the sand, or he was looking at moral lines saying, I can't do that. Nah, I can't. Oh, man, that's going to fuck up his family. And which I would think wouldn't be there because Drake is a guy who seemingly loves bringing up people's baby moms. I would think Drake don't have that line. But supposedly Drake was stopping himself. But I don't think it was because of Pusha T. I think Drake was always trying to keep it clean. Keep in mind, he came off the battle with Meek in 2015 where, the worst things he said about Meek, it's kind of like child's play. You're getting bodied by a singing nigga. Is it a world tour or your girl tour? And it wasn't anything like, hey, you fuck kids. Right? Like, Kendrick just kicks the door open. He's like, yo, you're a pedophile. Right? Which is like, wait, how do you answer to that one? When you think about how Drake was battling, like, somehow he did have like this barometer of, I'm not going to say things that would be of a certain level. It's then for me to believe that, or at least anticipate, or, assume maybe he was so upset at this Pusha T Kanye angle that he created a song like that. And the reason why I said fatal flaw is, if they talk about the song as I keep hearing it being talked about, would end, the nigga would do this, put it out. But he never put it out. And I think it's because he had a moral line that he wasn't willing to cross, which I think, he probably looks at Kendrick to say Kendrick had no problem with crossing it, because Kendrick was just trying to win the rap battle, right? Okay. All right, cool. So 50 Cent is back on the bumper of Floyd Mayweather Jr. And, the story came out via TMZ saying Floyd Mayweather Jr. is suing Showtime. He claims they cheated him out of millions, and 50 said, oh, nah, nigga. Don't start crying out, champ, after they beat you out of $320 million. You a dumbass nigga. I told you, let me read the contract. Now lace up. You got to look good fighting. Mike, then maybe we could get Bud to beat your ass for some big money. Now, I've always thought it's a really odd relationship. I love 50, but I think 50 is always a little bit jealous of Floyd. I don't think Floyd's the best. I don't think he's the smartest guy personally, or do I think he's the smartest with money. But what I do believe is that I think 50, especially even when, they had fell out about, there was like this boxing company, it was called Team Money Team, or no, it was something else, that they had a boxing like venture, but Floyd went to jail, and 50 kind of took it over. And then when Floyd kind of got out, he wanted nothing to do with it. I believe that 50 kind of wanted to be like an Al Heyman type of guy for Floyd. And he realized that he probably was smarter than Floyd when it comes to money and even business. And for whatever reason, Floyd may not be that smart, but he didn't want nobody in his pocket. And when 50's like, I'll read your contracts up for you, like, respectfully, 50, like, this is why he probably pays 5 entertainment attorneys. Yeah, let's say he can't read. That's their job to read for him, and they're actually looking out for their interests. So when I hear when 50 says this, I think 50 just wanted parts. And 50 probably did think he was really fucking stupid and said, hey, listen, let me go review your shit. I could get you a better deal, but I want to be in this. And I think because Floyd never really let him in, I don't think he fucked with Floyd like that. Now, let me read the story here to figure out what's going on, because there's been so many speculations about Floyd Mayweather's his net worth, or like what's going on with him financially, and why is he doing these fights. And here we are now. It says Floyd says he's made over $1 billion in earnings over his legendary career, but the fighter claims all the money didn't make it to his bank account. Now he's suing Showtime. He's claiming they played a big role in his ex-manager screwing him out of hundreds of millions of dollars. Ooh, so there was an ex-manager. Okay. A lawsuit filed by Floyd in California is obtained by TMZ Sports. He says that he's gunning to recover hundreds of millions of dollars in misappropriated funds and damages resulting from a long-running elaborate scheme of financial fraud. Ooh. He said the scheme was perpetuated by his advisor, Al Heyman. And now he's claiming Al Heyman got substantial participation and aid from Showtime and former Showtime president, Stephan Espinoza. Showtime and Espinoza are listed as defendants, while Heyman is not, which is interesting. Now, it's like, yo, Drake, you're suing Universal and you're suing like the radio station for defamation, but you're not suing the guy who said it, Kendrick, right? So I'm wondering why Heyman's not being signed. Floyd claims Heyman, with whom he worked with for a decade, misappropriated a significant portion of the career earnings to the tune of a whopping $340 million. And he says he did that with the help of Showtime and SE. Mayweather says the money is still missing and unaccounted for. And by the way, usually when people long after, when you're in that moment, right? Money's coming left and coming right. You're not noticing what didn't come in yet, right? Like, I remember my I'm always on top of money stuff, but I remember my entertainment lawyer told me, was like, hey, yo, invoice Complex. Because when I first worked at Complex, I'm like, bro, they're giving me pennies. Fuck it. I'm getting paid outside this for YouTube and whatever else. I'll invoice them, whatever. But it became a thing where now I have like 6 months of pay sitting at Complex because I haven't invoiced them. And, you know, my lawyer is saying, yo, invoice them, bro. You got to invoice them. Collect the money now. We don't know what's going to happen with this company. It might go out of business. You get your money now. And it was right, of course. But when money's coming from left and right, you're not like sitting here like, where's my Showtime check? He's probably getting like Showtime checks from other fights and residuals here and back end money there and sponsorship there. So like he probably was sitting there like just like, when's the money coming in? Now, as things has probably slowed down, things is, you know, looks probably a little bit different for Floyd. He probably is kind of going over his book saying, man, I should have made a lot of money that year. Did everybody ever pay me? And he's probably looking at payments, bank accounts, stuff. Maybe he has some new accountants and they're looking like, yeah, you never got paid everything. Or, yeah, you got paid, but like it was unusually low. Like we thought you were going to get like 70 million. They only wired 20. Like, and maybe it was installments, but there's no more other payments for this. So he's kind of going back around to figure out what happened. So in the suit, he references one of his biggest fights, including Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, alleging Showtime and Espinosa effectively delivered money owed to Floyd directly to Heyman. See, that's one thing. That's what I was telling you about managers. I don't let nobody touch my money. It's coming to me. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to accuse any manager of anything, but after a while, the manager started thinking he's the guy too. You know? So the manager, you know, he gets the money, and then the man, like, especially if the manager gets the money. Really, you should pay your manager. But sometimes managers put it in the contract that they get paid and then they pay you. Why? Because sometimes artists or like fighters or whatever, they don't like having to cut their money up, right? They like when they get their money, it's just time to spend. They don't like, all right, well, this came in, let me give you this, let me give you this, let me give you this, let me give. So a lot of managers put it in where Showtime just pays them and then they give Floyd whatever he's going to get. So they're saying that Showtime paid Heyman by sending accounts essentially controlled by Heyman. So this is a little bit different. So it looked like when they would give their payment informations, they would give probably like these joint business accounts that were really controlled by Heyman because maybe Floyd weren't looking into these accounts. And essentially Heyman was really getting all the money for Floyd. So years later, the undefeated boxer switched managers and his new team is asking to see the books, which Floyd claims the networks told him were lost in a flood and were inaccessible. That's crazy. Imagine Showtime said their books was lost in a flood. Stop it. Come on, man. Y'all use QuickBooks like Quicken or something of the sort that definitely has the financials. Stop playing. He's suing Showtime and Espinosa for aiding and abetting, breach of fiduciary duty, civil conspiracy into commit fraud, and conversion of unjust enrichment. He, in addition to the $340 million, he's also seeking punitive damages. Reached out for comment. Mayweather's attorney, Bob Cimini, predicted victory, saying Floyd's one of the biggest pay-per-view draws. He generated hundreds of millions of dollars for Showtime. Now he takes the fight to the courtroom to recover what's rightfully earned. Retiring at 50-0, he will go into the distance in the courtroom just like he has already in the ring. Yeah, you know, I don't want to use this story to say that Floyd's broken, nothing like that, but I think Floyd's definitely taking a different stock on his accounts and also on his career, that he realizes he fucked up a little bit, and probably, you know, I'm actually surprised to see him sue Al Heyman, or not sue, but allege Al Heyman. You know, that's going to be the Showtime's biggest thing. They're going to be like, yo, we did pay you. Al Heyman got it. Go get it from Al Heyman. Al Heyman. Floyd Mayweather. See, everything's complimentary. We haven't heard him. See, 11 years ago, he's one of the best men I met. He's a man of his word. Yeah, there's not much that kind of. Yeah. Yeah, we can't say anything negative about Al Heyman. Al Heyman. What's going on? This not Al Heyman. Is this him? Mm-mm. Maybe he doesn't have Instagram. Robbed by your mans. That's kind of crazy. Here's somebody else vouching for Al Heyman. Can't tell me nothing about Al Heyman. Always took care of us fighters, the casualties in war.
His job. Yes. That he was clowning these networks. He was out negotiating the networks to the point where they were giving you an inferior product because his fighters were getting overpaid for lesser fights.
We weren't getting overpaid.
In that,
we weren't getting
I'm
overpaid.
happy for every dollar you made.
Freddie Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
This is the golden child of Al Heyman right here.
But it is admirable that Al Heyman not only did his job so well, but was helping fighters get rich while he was doing it.
That's pretty ironic compared to what we just read, right? One of the fighters we would imagine he helped get the richest is Floyd. Now, Floyd is claiming that he defrauded him out of money. Two statements don't make sense. Something got to give.
He created a climate where fighters started to begin to believe that they were worth more money. I don't mean to me. You're worth all the money in the world to me, the fighters. But I mean to the marketplace than they actually were. And so now it became difficult to make fights.
You really want us to change our mindset, right? The fact that we were putting our health in jeopardy every time we stepped in that ring. So we had to make sure to get every penny that we could.
Yes.
Like every time we stepped in there.
Heyman was so good at his job.
Yes.
That he was clowning.
Okay.
Maxo.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll see if Floyd actually responds to this. I do think there's something going on. You know, the true story of Floyd, I've always said I do think Floyd has made an exorbitant amount of money. I don't necessarily think people robbed him, but there's a possibility. You know, sometimes when there's too many hands in a cookie jar, money goes missing. But if you ever ask me, I always thought that Floyd's lifestyle always was one that was always beyond not necessarily his means, but was one that kind of always would guarantee he would get back in the ring. Right? Not saying he couldn't live nearly the lifestyle he was living with and still saved and invested, but it felt like he was one of those guys, as soon as he gets his check, he's at the nightclub, he got a section, he got a bottle, he got a new fit, you know what I mean? He bought a new TV, he pretty much spent the paycheck, which means he got to show back up on Monday to work. Right? And again, that's all good when you're getting active fights, you're like the biggest thing in the world. At this point, that's just not the case. And yes, he's going to do these exhibition boxing matches, including one with Mike Tyson soon, which I'm going to see how that turns out. But it is a long way away from that. He does have a couple other fights I think he could get a lot of money from, and I think that's why he probably spends like that. But if you think about it, Floyd has a jet. Floyd has several houses. Floyd supposedly takes care of, like, you know, his family. Like, you know, Yaya Mayweather, that's his daughter. You have his sons, and he has supposedly, I don't know if still, a harem of women that are all probably financially dependent on him. So who knows? Like, I got to think, you know, also he gambles a lot. So you never know where that kind of goes. So if you ask me, I do think that, I don't necessarily think he's broke, but maybe he's not cash rich at the moment. And I do think he's probably taking stock at, you know, he's trimming the fat a little bit. He clearly got rid of Al Heyman. He probably brought some other people in. And the first order of business is, hey, before we go forward in our future financially, is there any money that do we leave on the table or we forget to collect? And I think that's why they're kind of coming back around. They can't see full books. So they're like, hey, we'll sue you to figure out what it is, because there's going to be some books. If Showtime can't confirm that they paid all the money we should have got, if they believe Al Heyman's a part of it, Al Heyman probably is not in communication with them or just isn't that forthcoming. And yeah, they got to file lawsuits, so they're trying to figure out what's going to happen. But I do think Floyd is taking internal stock before he goes forward to figure out what's the next move. All right? We'll see. Is Floyd broke? I don't know. Obviously, Floyd broke is like it's probably like 30 times richer than me, right? And yeah, so shout out to Floyd. We will see. Chat, I am going to call it here. I know it's a little bit before 4 hours, but because I need to fix the sleep schedule, and I know we impressively, we got 11,000 in here. So I hate to call it right now, but I do got to call it right now because I want to get back on stream around like 4 o'clock. And the only way I'm going to do this is I got to go force myself to sleep more than 3 hours, and get back on a stream around 4 or 5 o'clock type of time. All right. So chat, I'm going to get off stream now. I will be back at 4 or 5 o'clock. We are going to reset and recalibrate what we got going on with the stream to make sure that I'm not giving you 2 a.m. streams, because I know some of you guys are tight about that. Like, yo, bro, I got shit to do. Or, bro, like, we would like it when more people are here. Or if it's just, honestly, 7 o'clock, bro. Come on. So I'm trying to fix that, chat, and I'm not going to keep dragging the stream. So I apologize, but I will know 100%, I will be back in about 12 hours, right? So right around, like, I'd say 4:30, but it's probably going to be 5:30, all right? Chat, I love you. I will see you guys tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I'll see you guys in 12 hours. I'm going to get some sleep, deal with my dogs, and do some regular business stuff, but I will be back on here shortly. Thank you guys for all the donations. Thank you for becoming members. There's a lot of memberships going off today. Again, if you guys don't remember, I got to keep reminding y'all, we got our show tickets on a sale. I'm looking forward to say, we sell out on, what do you call it again? VIPs. We still have a few VIPs available. Please make sure you go copy it. There's a meet and greet associated with it. Again, I have a few other people that are going to be showing up, comedians, and I do have a special performance. I haven't fully confirmed it, but we're talking at the moment. All right, chat, I love y'all. I'll see y'all in about 12 hours. Make sure you guys get some rest and have a good day at work.